Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Good.
Good, good.
Let's see.
All right. I'm admitting people. So I'm going to grab letting people in. Okay. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time admitting people in. How's it going for everyone?
Good. How was your camping trip?
It was great and not. Normally, I enjoy every second of our camping trip, but we were very restricted in what we could do and where we could go because all of the sites that we like to go to were closed. So it wasn't bad, don't get me wrong, but we ended up camping pretty much in a camping site, the only one that was open in Mammoth Lake City, and it's right next to the road. So instead of waking up to birds and rippling water, we were waking up to street sounds, right? That's kind of a spoiled me because usually we go out into the wilderness. So other than that, it was beautiful. We had to drive to the lakes with our kayaks. We had to drive to hikes. So it felt a little bit less disconnected than usual, but I had a great time with my family. So thanks for asking. Letting people in. Did anyone else do anything fun lately that didn't involve being in contact with people? No? Okay. All right. So don't forget to head over down to the chat and sign in. And yeah, here we go. So I have a question from King, which, by the way, remember to ask me things not privately, just send it to everyone so that everyone can know what the questions are, unless it is a private question. So when it says to, when you go to the chat, you can say to everyone in meeting. That way everyone can see what the questions are and stuff like that. And so the question is, how do we access the links to the recordings? And I will show you how to get to the handouts. And in the handouts, I have a full a document with the links. Now, we didn't get to go to the handouts with the whole group the other day, did we? No. Yeah. So the folder, I'm looking here for a second. I'm going to access it. And I'm going to, let me put this in here. Here we go. A few more people, letting them in. Okay, I keep checking the first few days my email to make sure that anyone's not stuck there, not able to get in, and because then I can help them. But I think we've been doing enough Zoom classes that most people are beginning to take this as second nature by now, right? Unfortunately, I know, but hey, at least it's become easier for everyone knowing how to access the class. Here we go. So while I wait to get a few more people in who are still trying to join from the waiting room, did any questions come up about what we've already covered? I mean, I know there's a ton of questions, that stuff that we're still going to learn, but anything that we've already covered that you would like to know more about, please ask me. Nothing yet. Okay.
I have a question, Deanna.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I actually sent you the question by email, but then I discovered it was about PhotoStream and iCloud and kind of what this is. So and I thought I better go look at the handouts that she told us to look for. So now I've printed out my iCloud photo library versus my PhotoStream. What's the difference handout, and it's been very helpful. So
Thank you. By the way, that means that I did show you guys that, because I know that I did 3 classes in a row, and I know that one of the classes I didn't get to the handouts, but that means I probably did get to the
I
showing
think
you
you
how to get
did.
to the handouts.
What I recall is that you were going to send something, you were going to send the handout as to how to access the
How to
handout.
get there.
But
Okay.
I had done it, a class I had with
Class.
you previously. So
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you for saying that. So that means that I sent the instructions to the Mac level 1 people, but not to the iLife people. So we're going to do it all in groups. So thank you. And with regards to the, let me change, with regards to questions asked on email, because I did read your question, and it prompted me to say that when the question takes a lot of explanation, like the difference between the photo stream and things like that, and it pertains specifically to what I'll be teaching in class, then I'll go ahead and explain it in class to everyone. But it's great that you were able to find the handout that I would have directed you to. And, but since not everyone can do that yet, that's great. I am, as much as I want to be able to sit and yeah, I did show it in the coding class. Thank you. Someone mentioned that. I have to consider what kind of emails I have a time to answer and which ones I will answer in class. What I try to do is say, I'll let you know in class or something like that. But over the last 2 days, I've been catching up. I've been gone for a week, and I have another job, and I have, I'm teaching 33 hours of class this week. So I'm so, I think that I will settle over the weekend and get myself a bit more in shape. But if I can't answer you, at least I'm going to answer, hey, let's talk about that in class, which I didn't do. I saw your email, I don't know, half an hour ago. But if you ask me a specific question that has to do with, I know you're sick or something like that, of course we'll talk. But if it's a question that requires a whole bunch of explaining, I'll either tell you I'll cover it in class, or I'll tell you, well, we won't cover that in class. This is the class where you can do that, or I'll send you to some other site. Today, one of the things I'm going to do is take you to a bunch of links online that will help you find out a lot of information about the Photos program, even when I'm not there to explain it, because there's only so much I'll get to explain, and then there's all these other questions you're going to have. So I'm going to show you how to, where to get the guides and the manuals and things like that, so that then you can maybe answer your question, or say, well, I kind of answered my question, but I didn't get enough information. So with that, you come to me to explain the rest of it, or even to explain the information. One of the concerns I have about tutorials and things like that is that the information isn't sometimes easy to access unless you have already a good knowledge of the program. It feels like Chinese when you're reading it. And so basically, I like to point people to tutorials or to instructions where at least you begin to know some of it, and then when I explain it, we're not starting from zero. Does that make sense? But many times those explanations don't necessarily explain it well enough to you. So that's why I'm here as a resource to then explain it better. One of the things that we do with online courses, this isn't really an online course. Again, I don't know. The difference is that this is a course where we are meeting online, but it is still synchronous. And so it should be taught as if we were there in person. But it isn't really the same, because I am not there in person to look over your screens to see what is working and what is not. So there has to be some in between. And a lot of the times how we deal with online courses is we give a lot of information for people to research and read in tutorials themselves. And then during the time that we're together, it's more like a lab time. And in one way or another, this is becoming a bit of a hybrid, where I'm going to have to give you more information for you to feed yourselves with that. And then to ask me, well, I tried this, it didn't work. I tried that, it didn't work, and kind of work through things. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But yes, it's hard to not know something and then suddenly have a whole bunch of instructions, because who wants to learn that way? So ideally what we'll do here is we'll put hands onto the program, practice, do everything. And then when you have the links to ask a very specific question, you will understand how it works, because you already have that basic understanding of how to use it that we'll be doing here in class, or that's how it's been working, and that's my hope. So I have a couple of questions. Oh, admit a few more people. Hold on, there we go. So I just sent to anyone who is in the Mac level 1 class just now, like minutes ago, well, right before I connected to this. So if you didn't see it, that's fine, because quite a few of you are in that class. I sent a series of links, and I was going to send it only to your pipeline account. I finally added your personal email address so that you could see the email. But there's a problem with doing that, which is why I was hesitant. And I'm talking to this class about it, because I'll do the same thing with this class, is that if I send you a link to the handouts and I send it to your personal email and your pipeline, and you decide to read it from your personal, which is probably what a lot of you guys will do, when you click on that link, it won't let you in, because in order to be able to see the pipeline folders, the school folders, you need to be clicking on that link from inside of your pipeline email account. And so instead of accessing it that way, I also attached a handout as to how to access your folders without using a link. So when you read an email with a link that I give you, when you try to access it, you'll get to a place that says you don't have access, and then request access. And a lot of people press that button requesting access to me. I cannot give you access to a personal email to access school folders. It's just, we're not, the structure of the college is set up so that you need to be a student to access those folders. And the only way you prove you're a student is if you're using your student account. Kind of like one of those, you know, how do you call it?
It's a circle.
Circle. Yes, thank you.
Page 22.
All I could come up with was vicious circle, but it isn't vicious. It's just a circle and how it works. There's nothing vicious about it, but it's how it works. You need to be a member of the group in order to access that information, which is also why I want to tell you that it's safe to be recorded, in the sense that only people who are part of the city college and are part of the class are getting the link, and they're the only ones who can see the recordings, right? So if you send the email out to someone else, a friend, and have them try to click, they won't be able to because they're not a student, right? So that's if you want the safety precaution. But what that means that for you, unless you are actively using your pipeline emails, and in the Mac classes, I teach people how to do that, then you definitely need to go in to get your handouts a different way. And that's what I'm going to cover right now. And I'm going to cover that right now because I want you guys to see where the links for the recordings are, and where the links to the user guides and information about the photos program are. Plus, I don't know who was connected by the time Suzanne said, remind me if it's Suzanne or Sue in your case.
Me?
Yeah, Suzanne, Michelle.
Yeah, Sue.
I'm a
the other
Suzanne.
Suzanne. Yeah.
You're Suzanne, and which one is this Sue? Can you speak up, Sue? Sue
Yeah.
Dodds. Okay, and you wrote Sue this time, so that's good. I try to call people by the same name, but sometimes I need to remember who is who. But by writing it that way, that's helpful this time. Okay, so so what Suzanne asked at the very beginning, she had emailed me something, and then she was able to access the handouts and found a perfect tutorial or explanation handout that I already have the answer to that. That doesn't mean I'm not going to explain it in class, but yeah, a lot of the times if you go to my handouts, you'll find out answers to things that you have, that people have asked enough that I've just created a handout for it, okay? So what I'm going to do right now is, I haven't joined yet from my other computer, so I'm going to do that in a second here, so that I can also point you and use this computer to share. And oh, I am gotta admit myself. Okay, there we go. Oh, that's interesting. That's another. There we go. So this Zoom person here that just joined, let me change my name. 1 second. That is actually also. Hey. Yeah, okay. So Kip has a question that has to do with storage, and I'm going to answer it because it relates to what we were just saying about the pipeline account. When you have a personal Gmail, I mean, it isn't related directly to this class, but it is because I want to explain to you guys about the pipeline account. When you have your own when you have your own Gmail account, you know, my name at gmail.com, that's a personal Gmail address. And for free, Gmail gives you 15 gigabytes of storage, which is quite a bit more than iCloud gives you, but if you're going to put a lot of photos, it's like it fills it pretty easily. That's, anyway, I don't want to get into the way the pipeline works, but the account works. But your pipeline account, meaning the one that gives you access to school, the school pipeline, is also a Gmail. So you have a Google Drive, which is space online, that belongs to your pipeline account. And that one is unlimited. It's unlimited, it's a student account, and it has all the space in the world for you to put everything you want in there. That said, and I want to be clear, it is a school account, and it's a state school. So if there's ever any kind of investigation, it's not considered as private as your own, and the school can allow, you know, police and stuff like that to delve in to find out what students are doing. So it's not going to happen obviously as a normal thing, but it isn't the same as your own personal account. Does that make sense? Because of, if there's illegal activities going on that students are using the school account for, the school is able to allow access to those in some way or another. I don't know how they do it, but it's not like they're looking at your stuff. No one has any access to your account unless under court order and that kind of thing. So anyway, beware what you put in there. Other than that, I do use it for a lot of my surplus stuff that I have nowhere to put. I'm doing videos and I have a lot of footage, and sometimes I just put it all on the pipeline account because it's so big. It's pretty amazing. But that's the one that today I'm going to show you how to access. So if you want to use your drive where you're going to see your handouts, that one is unlimited. And that's the one that you're going to have to access to reach the handouts. So what I'm saying right now applies, because when I show you how to reach the handouts, I'll be taking you to your pipeline Google Drive. Know that that's a space online where you can use to put anything you want, and how you keep it active. The question that comes next is, well, what if I'm not a student? Well, as long as you're a student in any course, for about a year, you're still considered a student. And it's so easy to be a student when you keep taking on these free non-credit classes. So there's no reason for your studentship to expire as long as you keep signing up for non-credit classes. So that's the only answer I have to that. If you do stop taking classes at some point, and whenever I ask, they have no real answer, at some point they will take down the account. But to the point that if you then sign up 2 years later, you'll still be using your same pipeline account and stuff like that. Technically, all your stuff should still be there, and you should still be able to access it unless they've done some kind of cleaning or purge if they're running out of space. But I've been told that hasn't happened yet. That doesn't mean it won't happen. Okay, so let me see. That kind of covers all the general questions that I have on the on the chat. If you keep asking questions, notice that I will, as I keep an eye on them, and now and then in the middle of my course, I will be responding to them. But what I want to do next is actually take you to the steps of how to find your pipeline handouts, which are inside of your pipeline Google Drive space up in the internet. Okay. That will also show you how to use your pipeline email account, which will then be the way to access your email through your personal account. Okay, so before we continue, what I want to make sure is that as I show you what to do, I want everyone to be able to do it parallel to me, not just have me showing you. In order to do that, remember what you need to do with your Zoom your Zoom window is to hit escape. Now, if you already did it last time, that kind of stays in that mode, right? So you might already be in that mode, but in case you're not, hit your escape key so that your Zoom window stops being full screen, okay? Your escape key is your top left ESC escape screen. And I know I covered it in the macOS level 1 class and in the coding class. I'm not sure if we got around to doing it in this class. Hit your escape key, and then with your mouse, grab the side of the window, which is now floating, and make it be about half the size of your screen. Make it smaller so that you can see your own screen in the background. And that's the way we're going to be able to use the Photos program while I still get to demonstrate things to you. If you are someone who has an iPad or a second computer available, a laptop from someone you live with, and you can sign into this class twice as 2 separate accounts, then you can use one to look at and listen to what I'm saying and the other one to actually work on. So the Mac computer has to be the one you work on, but the other one can be a PC, it could be something else that you're just looking and listening and then doing on your iPad. I know that this is not available to everyone, but if it is one of you who has this opportunity, then please go ahead and do that. There's also some people in the other class, like me, who have a couple of different monitors, and that works as well, because you can have, you can be doing the photos on one monitor and doing the Zoom on another. Again, this probably applies to 5% of you, but I want to say it just because if those 5% would be more comfortable. I don't recommend using a phone and a computer, because the phone, unless you have a really big one, is kind of small. And when I say, see this, see that, it'll be so tiny that I don't know if it'll help you then do it yourself. But if you have good glasses and a big phone, maybe that's also an option for you. Okay. So has everyone been able to move their Zoom screen kind of sideways so that now you are seeing some of your own screen? I keep admitting people, and I have a feeling that right now what I'm doing is admitting people who went and grabbed their second option, their screen or their iPad, because I'm seeing repeated names, which is great.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. I'm seeing like, oh, okay, you're in here, but there you go again. So that's awesome. Thank you. And the third thing I wanted to say, that if you do want to ask how to do things like put in a second monitor, things like that, how it seems like this very complicated technical thing. Not really. If you have a laptop, you know how laptops have small screens. If you go to any thrift store to not spend too much money and buy a used monitor, or even, you don't need to go and get a high level monitor. You can connect it with a plug into the side of your computer, and then your computer shows up in 2 different monitors, okay? And by doing that, you have that extra space for whenever and then you unplug and you take your laptop wherever you want to, but when you're sitting at your desk, you would have 2 monitors, and that gives you much more space. It's not you have to do nothing complicated. You just plug it in, and it kind of works, okay? So if anyone is interested in that, I could probably find a handout telling you where and how to do that. But there's nothing technically complicated about that. It's just a plug-in, and then there you go. You have a second monitor. It looks much more impressive than it actually is, but it helps you so much more. I find laptop screens to be way too small to really be comfortable in. Okay. Yolanda, the link to the recording is something that I'm going to give you now when I head over to the handouts. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to share my screen and lead you step by step to get to the handouts, okay? Now, I want to say too that many of you guys use Safari if you're on a Mac, and that's great. Many of you guys use Chrome or Firefox, and there's nothing wrong with using those, by the way, and it's what people are accustomed to, and it's what people are doing when they're, I'm hearing people complain about static, so I'm going to mute everyone. I'm not hearing it myself, but yeah, it's out there, so I just muted everyone. If you need to speak, know that you'll have to unmute yourself, because I have completely silenced the group. I'm taking a snapshot. And don't forget, anyone who arrived late, to please go to your chat and sign in by giving a little show of life, okay, into the chat. And when you use Safari, it uses the Mac resources much better. It works much faster, and it doesn't take up so many resources from your computer. So if you have Safari and you never use it because you're accustomed to using Google Chrome, that's fine. But if Google Chrome, whenever you're online, it seems to take a long time to load websites or things like that, consider closing Google Chrome and opening Safari and using Safari. It is created to work better with the Mac. Okay, so again, it's not necessarily better or worse than Chrome, but it works better within itself. Now, if you are accustomed to Chrome because you've used it all your life, go ahead. It's just one more of those features that might help your computer work faster. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. And here we go. And hopefully by now you've managed to minimize your, or not minimize, but move sideways your computer so that you can see what we're doing. And now what I want us to do is I want us to open Safari, okay? So I'm gonna go down to Safari and open Safari. I'm gonna open a new window because I have so many things in Safari. And I'm gonna go ahead and type sbcc.edu and hit enter. And that'll take us to the SBCC website. Now, if you know how to do this, you can watch, but I'm also going to show you a couple of other things and I'm going to try to do it quickly because it's not the gist of this class, but I'm going to show you how to get to your pipeline email and how to access some lynda.com videos, okay? So if you have any questions, interrupt me. I can't see you right now that I'm actually sharing my screen. I have stopped seeing you. So make sure to actually, here's a way I can see you. But make sure, I can only see you partially, a bit at a time. But go ahead and speak up if you have a question in the midst of this, okay? Because I might not know that you have a question. Okay, so from sbcc.com, you can go here to the left and hit on the big old P for pipeline, okay? And over here, what you need to do is you need to write your username, just your username, the first, initial or two of your names, and then your last name, and then type in your password. I have them memorized, so I don't need to type them in. Some of you might want to skip the first step and just come straight to this one, pipeline login, but I find it easier to show it this way because SBCC is such a quick thing to type. But don't forget that it's sbcc.edu, not .com, okay? All right, and so then we log in to your pipeline account. Once you are inside of your pipeline account, stop me if you're having questions or things are not working. Meanwhile, otherwise I just kind of keep going. Once you log into your pipeline account, you will see a tab that says student non-credit. Now, there is a chance that some of you guys are also credit students. If you are credit students, then you will see just the word student. They don't say student credit, they just say student, okay? If it says student, it works a teensy bit differently, but if it says student non-credit, all you need to do is click on the student non-credit tab and it'll bring you to this page. If it says only student, then you actually have to click on student and it takes you to something called resources. And then you're in the same page. So it's just one extra thing to step. That's okay. If you're a student, you have to go student resources. If you're non-credit, you just click student non-credit and you're in this page. Is everyone with me? Any questions? I see a hand, Anna. Is that a question? You have your hand up? Nope, then please put your hand down. Paul, you have your hand up. Is that a question or is it just your hand being up? Okay, then let's put I'm gonna clear your hands. I go ahead and check on the hands all the time in case you're having a question. Okay, so here is what I'm reaching out for is your Google Drive. Now, I want to make a point before I move on to the Google Drive, which is where your handouts are, that this same spot, student non-credit, is where you can go up here, if you see this, to your email. And that is your pipeline email, okay? So if you are interested in your pipeline email, click on that and you will see that I have just sent an email if you are in my Mac level 1 class, or I have also sent you the link to this class. And so not only will you have the email sitting in your home email, but you have it in here as well. Okay, and every one of you got an email from me with a link for today. So at the very least, you should see the iLife class link email sitting there waiting for you. If I send you a link to your handouts through this email and you click on it, you're there, boom. But if you click on that link from home, you don't get in. Does that make sense? Any questions about that? Okay, so it's not hard to get this forwarded so that these emails arrive in your personal email. I spent some time in macOS level 1 and 2 teaching people how to do this kind of stuff. This is iLife, so I'm not going to spend much more time. If you have specific questions about this, ask me on a personal email. How do I handle the school email? I kind of need to stop it here because there's a way more than enough to cover in iLife that I can't really cover email as well. But I just wanted to show you what your email was. So I'm going to close this little box right now and go back to this page. So is everyone back with me in this page? You don't need to close it either. You can just kind of go back to this tab, but I want you to be in this tab. You can either leave the tab open or not. And then, yes, just show you a couple of things that are here available to you. You can click on Microsoft Office and actually use Office for free as a student. Don't do that right now, but come back and check that out. And LinkedIn Learning is a place where we have tutorials that I'm not sure if I'll assign any to this class, but I do assign some of these in others of my classes. And when you go in here, there's tutorials that are wonderful. So check them out on your own, but pay attention to the instructions. Do not connect them to your personal LinkedIn account if you have one, okay? So anyway, again, I'm not gonna spend much more time with this. I'm just pointing this out to you because these are resources available to you for free. All of this costs a lot if you try to use it on a personal level on your own. And then the one that I do want us to go to is this top one, the one that says Google Drive. So let's all click on Google Drive. And here in Google Drive, what you need to do is on the left side, what you'll have here is different because this is my Google Drive. Yours might have things, might be empty. I don't know what you have in your Google Drive. But this space that you have here that you are now accessing, that's space online for you to put things that you want to have online and that you will be able to access anytime, anywhere in the country and the world that you go and type SBCC pipeline, password, Google Drive, there it is, and you can access it from anywhere, okay? That's the point of this drives in the cloud. You have that with iCloud, you have it with Google Drive. But my point is that I have a folder here full of stuff that I shared with you. And what that means that if you go down to shared with me, see where it says shared with me here on the left side? Click on shared with me. And when you get to shared with me, you should see a couple of names. One, if this is the only class you're taking, more if you've taken other classes with me. And the one that I want you to go is the one that's called 2020 Summer 1 Intro to Mac, Mac OS. This is the iLife class, sorry. Summer 2 2020 iLife. Sorry. Those of you who are in my Mac level 1 class have these 2 folders now in them. And those of you who are in my coding class have 3, because some of you guys are in all 3 of them. Okay. Once you double click on that folder, this is what you should see. Now, before I continue, is anyone having questions about how to get here? Are you all following me? Did someone get left 10 steps behind? Speak up, let me know, raise your hands. Some of you already know how to do this from other classes. I've been doing this for 2 years now, so if you were the ones that kind of follow me for the last 2 years, you know that this is where my handouts are always.
This is Carol, and I'm lost. I'm way behind. I can't even log in.
Okay, so we're talking about logging into Pipeline itself?
Yep.
Okay, so the only point of or place where it might be hard is if you do not know your Pipeline username and password. I can give you your username. I know that. from your registration, but I do not know your password. So do you know your username? Do you need help with that?
I think I need help with that.
Okay, so give me a second because I have it in the other computer. iLife. Give me a sec here. Carol. If anyone does not know their username, ask me right now because here I have it. Your username is CL Sauceda. CL
Thank you.
Sauceda.
Thank you.
Okay, and then your password, I do not know. And not only do I not know it, but I cannot help you retrieve it. If you do not know your password, in school, I would send you to the front office and they help you find it. Here, what I do is I send you to Emma Cruz, and I can give you her email. It's in all the emails I've been sending you about getting help for registration and stuff like that is Emma Cruz's email. Otherwise, she's ecruz.e.sbcc.edu, and she can help you access the systems that help you reset your password and create your password again. Does that make sense?
Diana?
Yes, hold on. Let me finish with Carol. Carol.
Yeah, I don't have my password.
All right. So, oh, maybe you went to look for it. Okay. Yes, Yolanda?
I'm like Carol. It says my password or username is invalid. And so it says I had 3 strikes already, which means I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
So I'm listening right now.
Mm-hmm. So
you said do you have my username with you?
Your username, yes. Your username is, give me a second. Your username is YM Aumentado. Usually it's either first initial and last name, but sometimes it's also first initial, second name, initial, last name. That's always your username, either with or without. It's the first initial, second initial if you have a second name, sometimes yes, sometimes no, and then your last name. That's always your username.
All right, thank you.
The password, I cannot help you with at all. And that's why it's not private or personal to say your usernames, because basically if anyone knows your name, they know your username. But the way you keep yourself private and no one gets into there is because of a password. And that's why I cannot access your password, nor can anyone. But Emma can help you reset your password so that it becomes something that you know. Okay? So how to get to Emma, I'm going to, let me quickly put her email up here. Give me a sec, because here we go. I'm going to write it in the chat so that everyone has access to Emma's email. But oh, I gotta go to everyone in meeting. Okay, so it's Emma Cruz is her name. Okay, and her email is cruise@sbcc.edu. Okay, so this is the person that you need to reach out for anything that has to do with registrations or admissions or all that kind of stuff. Okay, now what Yolanda said is important. When you fail 3 times to get in, it assumes that you're spam or trying to, you're not you. So then it locks you out, sometimes for 5 minutes, sometimes for 10, if you keep trying for 20. So the other place that you can go to is to the Santa Barbara City College tech support. And I don't have in front of me the student tech support number. Yikes.
That's all right. I'll find it. Thank you.
But I want everyone to have it, so I'll get it to you guys soon enough. Let me see. I think I have it right here. Help, tech support. There's call Canvas SBCC IT tech support. Oh, because I get the numbers for instructors, which is different for students. But I'll look for the student one and I'll email you that number because they can help you with pipeline issues. Okay. All right. enough with that. I want to continue with the folder. All right. So other than that, is everyone else okay? Did you all get into your handouts folder? The one thing I cannot help you with is with passwords, but so now that you know how to get help, you'll be able to get in. And then once you get in, here you have a bunch of different handouts. The first handout is the Zoom class recordings link. So how do you get to this? You double click and it opens up. And here you have, I explained to you how the first day, instead of having one video, it turned into 3 different videos because the recording got cut off. Remember that? You heard me go, oh no, the recording got cut off. So basically, the first part is 57 minutes, where I was beginning to set up how to use Zoom and stuff. So if you know that, you can ignore that. And then the second one is where I began to actually talk about the class. And it's an hour, 9 minutes long. And then the third one is the last 21 minutes of class. So if you click on this, if this is a live document. So if you click on this, you can then go down to what shows up, and it takes you directly to YouTube. And in YouTube, this is a link that as you say YouTube, you go, oh my God, everyone can see YouTube. Nope, you have to have that one link to be able to access this video. And then this video is the, 1 hour, 9 minutes of this class. And you just, oh, a minute. So this is the class from last week, okay? And so you will see the whole gallery there, but see how the names don't show up? So at most, what shows up is your faces, but not your names in the recording, okay? Mm-hmm. So it's that, even though it's a private YouTube link that only you guys can get to, on top of that, it doesn't show your names. And then when I'm sharing my screen for something, like right here, it shows the screen and stuff like that. But when I'm not sharing my screen, it goes back into this mode where it's showing the faces. That was probably during break. All right. Now this YouTube link, although it appears on YouTube, it is not public. And if you want to, you can use closed captions, and then you'll be able to hear, if you click on the CC, you can hear you can read the captions of what's going on. Okay?
Diana?
Yes.
I think you emailed that to us. So do we have to go to the labyrinth of signing into the SBCC portal, or can we just click using our pipeline address, click
actually
the links you gave, and it brings us there to the YouTube?
No, if to the handouts, you need to go to the pipeline. But if I send you the link to the recording, that you can go straight from there to YouTube. You don't need to go through pipeline. The link through the recording gets you straight to pipeline. So don't share that email around to friends, because that one is accessible to anyone who have the link. It's not private to pipeline. So if anyone gets this link, they can see the recording. So don't share the link outside of classmates. Does that make sense?
Got it. Yes.
Okay. And I did not email you this link. I let you find it here in the handouts. But if in the past some people have asked me to email the links, I can email you the links, but this is where they are too. So
I'm sorry. Could you show me where the handouts are again? I got into the email or pipeline.
Okay. All right. So if you're in the pipeline, then all you need to do is click on the students tab, student non-credit tab. Okay, student non-credit tab. Do you see that?
No.
Okay, look at my screen.
I see it.
Over here, you have a student non-credit tab. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, click on that.
I need to go back then from the email. Okay, hold on. Okay, student non-credit. Okay.
And then here on the right side, you'll see Google Drive.
Gotcha.
Okay, over here. And then once you're in Google Drive, you go on the left side, you find shared with me. Shared with me, because I have shared my folder with you. Okay, so you go to shared with me.
Yes, got it.
And that's where you find it. All right. You're welcome. Okay, so guys, the other handout that I want us to use right now, by the way, here I have information about transferring photos. Should I use iCloud? photos library or not. There's a lot of conversations that we're going to have that as we talk in class about it, when you want to kind of review the information, we have it here. iCloud library versus my photo stream. This is the one that Suzanne was asking about. I'm going to be talking about it today, but here there's a whole handout to reinforce that information. Okay. Of course, the house to access the handouts, which is bizarre because we're inside the handouts, but I keep it there so that if you want to download it, to remember next time how to get there. So let me explain. If you want to read something and you don't want to read it online, how do you do that? So let's go to the how to access the handouts and open it up, right? So you double click to open it up. This only works for you. One second. This handout will only help you if you have it outside of the handouts. So this is something you might want to download into your computer so that the next time you need to access your handouts, you can read this handout. Does that make sense? So when you have something that you want to download, you can double click on it to read it. And then what you can do is you can actually, when you're moving it around, you can go over here to this little downloads icon. And that download icon happens when you're moving it. If you stop moving it just to read, it kind of disappears, right? So move your mouse again and click on that. And there you go. Now it's downloaded into your computer. So next time you want to remember how to access your handouts, you can just read this and go, oh, that's how I did it. And it's on your computer now in your downloads folder. Does that make sense? Now, yeah.
Where is it downloaded in your computer? What file, what directory is it in, or where do you find it?
It's going to be in your downloads folder. So
Okay.
Those of you who are in my Mac classes, you know about the downloads folder. For the rest of you guys, take my Mac class. All right. Otherwise, just read it online, and then I'll get to explaining you that. You can then click on this little arrow to go back to the main thing. You can also not open it here if you know you want it. Say you want to read the iCloud library versus my downloads and you want to download it. You can just right click on it and, just right click on something that you want and find the word download right there and download it that way. So that's how you use your handouts from here. Okay. Now, any other question before I continue to the other handout that's really important here for today?
Yeah, I'm just curious about something.
Yeah.
Deanna, since I have an iPad, and it's actually my son's iPad from school.
Yeah.
And I'm using it. Since he has a pipeline as well, I feel like it keeps interrupting every time I try to go into my Google Drive. It's asking for like permission because I think it's some kind of sign in that he goes in there.
Yeah. So when you have,
you guys stuck there.
So by the way, quite a few of you guys were in my Mac OS level 1 class yesterday. That for the ones that weren't there, you should know it was an absolute disaster for me because I was on a power outage and I had to conduct the whole class from my son's school iPad, just like Deanna is saying. And I'm telling you, conducting a class with 30 people from an iPad was not fun. But yes, these iPads are kind of restricted because they're school iPads, right? So yeah, how about you ask me, maybe stay during break or stay a little bit, and I can help you figure out how to go back and forth. I can't stay after. That's true. Remember, I start teaching a 4:30 web coding class. So in this iLife class, I can't stay after. But you are in my Mac level OS 1 class. So ask me after. I can stay after class for my Mac OS level 1 class to help you with that, okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Deanna,
Yes.
I got lost after we got to the section with the Zoom class recording links.
Okay, so if you opened up the Zoom class recording links and you have it in front of you, how you get from any of these places back to the general folder would be to go up to the top where you have this little arrow. See that? And then just kind of hit the back, and then you'll be back in the main folder.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Now, I like seeing these like this as big, colorful images to show you what to do, but it could be that you've changed how you see it and you've clicked and see things I don't know if you did this, but you might see them only as a list of names. This is exactly the same, but it's a list of names, but it might confuse you thinking you're in a different place. I prefer to see them as an image of each one, okay? All right. The next one that I want us to open now is the one that says Photos Info. Yes?
Excuse me, Diane.
Yes?
I opened up the Zoom class recording links and I missed which is the handout you want us to look at first as to how to do all this.
How to get to the handouts? When you open the Zoom class recording links, go ahead and click the arrow to go back to the main folder.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
back. I'm back to my drive, summer of 2020 iLife.
Yeah, and somewhere down the third row or whatever, it is the folder. There's a file called How to Access Handouts and LinkedIn Learning. It starts with How to Access Handouts. That's the one that
I
tells
see
you how
it.
to
Thank
get.
you.
You're welcome. All right, now in my case, the fourth file available, counting like that, because depending on the size of your window, you might have it laid out differently, is called Photos Info. Do you see that one? Okay,
Yep.
This one I do want you guys to open right now. Okay, so go ahead and double click on Photos Info. Okay. So I was considering whether to make it into a PDF or not, but right now I have it working like this, and unless someone deletes this stuff, it should work. So these are links. It's not that easy to go online and find good information about the photos. By photos, I mean the Photos app, the one that we're going to learn to use today. Okay. And so I collected a series of links here. If you want just general knowledge of what photos can do, this is a good link. How to set up and use iCloud Photos, which we're going to talk about today, which is the whole iCloud's connection for the photos to go straight from, we started talking about that last week, right? From your phone directly online and directly to the photos. That's what the iCloud Photos is, which isn't how to use the app. It's how to make sure that your phone and your computer and your handheld devices are connected. That's what iCloud Photos means, okay? And then how to use Photos on your Mac. That is actually the guide on how to use your photos, but the only one they have available is for Catalina. As soon as they upgrade, they take off the information for how to use it for older versions. Apple only has the latest information online. So I'm still going to try to find one that talks about how to use it for Mojave and whatnot and see if I can post that link, but I wasn't able to find one. Thing is, they're not that complicated, not that different. So if you read the Catalina app and you have a Mojave or Sierra, High Sierra, all those, it is virtually identical. If there's something that's a bit different, well, it's just because their program is evolving, okay? And then here's where you would call or access to get any tech support, like something's not working, okay? So hopefully these links will help us. What I want us to do right now is to just actually go to one of them. To the Photos User Guide according to the OS version, and I only posted Catalina, it's the only one I found. Click on this link, and then go straight under that and click on Photos User Guide for Mac. Go ahead and do that, and that takes you straight to this page. Okay, I want everyone to get to this page. If you're not here or couldn't get to it, let me know.
I'm still trying to find it in the list of files that you sent.
Okay, so in the list of files in the summer 2, it is the 4th file available. You have Zoom class recordings, transfer photos, should I look iClass, and the next one is Photos Info.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is anyone else unable to find what I'm talking about?
I'm just gonna follow Diana because I can't get into it on the iPad.
Oh,
so I'll
yeah,
follow it and then I'll practice later.
That's fine. Yeah, with the iPad, I don't want to spend too much time with you with just that, but I'll get you there because you need to change your account and yada yada. Yesterday I spent the first half hour before class started desperately changing all of my son's accounts on his iPad so that I could then teach as myself. So yeah, I know how to tell you how to do it, but it's not that easy. Okay, so is everyone here in the user guide for Mac? Yes, question?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify, when they're saying photos user guide, that's capital P photos, which is the app. That doesn't mean photographs, right?
It is the app, which, thank you for clarifying that. It's a weird name. I wish they hadn't done that. When it used to be called iPhotos, then you knew it was the app. But now it's just called Photos, which is bizarre, because in the Photos app, you can also use videos. And when I talk about a photo, then it's are you talking about a photograph or are you talking about the app? It's a very confusing name. This is the name of the app. Photos user guide, the app Photos, and this is this little icon that you'll see on your dock, okay? This is the guide for the app. So yes, thank you for asking me to clarify that. Now it is for macOS Catalina, as I said, but it still works. And if you scroll down, it just kind of has some cute little da-da-da-da-da. But the important thing is the table of contents. So click on the table of contents and step by step, it'll show you how to use the whole app. I don't expect you to learn how to use it from here. I will be teaching you how to use it, but I want you to know this link to it's not an easy link to find if you try to find it yourself. It takes a while to get here. So now you have the direct link, and then you can open this up. See this little arrow right there? Click on that, and then here it tells you how to import from this, from that, from this, from Safari, okay? View photos, how to browse, how to add, how to view memories. So basically we're gonna go through all of this in class right now, but this is how you can come and make sense that you know. So for example, if we add the question of where are the photos that I imported and you click on that, then you have a whole article about where it stands and where they are and where they don't are. And then you can go just back to the table of contents and keep going. Oh, I just saw something, hold on. Yes, I found it. I found it. When you are inside the actual guide and you click on overview of import on one of them, right there it tells you how to select the version. I did not know how to find it and I found it with you guys. So here it tells you how to select version if you are in Catalina or in Mojave or in High Sierra. See that? Yes, yes, yeah. I was so confused. Before they had it at the beginning, like in the first link, you could just go in here and change, you know, in the photos user guide, here you could change version and I could not find it anymore. And there's where it is. It's inside each item. You click on overview of importing on whatever, and there you can decide if you're Mojave or High Sierra. Now, if you are anything lower than High Sierra, go to High Sierra as your nearest version. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, yay. I'm so glad I was showing you the step-by-step where I wouldn't have discovered it. What I can do is I can actually add that little description of that in.
Did you say you go to welcome in that?
It doesn't matter where you go. In the table of contents, I don't know if welcome probably doesn't have anything different because it's just a welcome. It's inside of each one of these icons that when you go to click on how do I import from a camera, there you can tell it which version you're using, okay? But truly, it's not that different. It's really not that different yet. There are the places where you'll find some differences in the, not even here in the managing your photos library is where it begins to shift a little bit. But anyway, okay. I'll let you guys explore this, and now I'm going to start teaching you how to do this, okay?
Can I just have one question?
Yes.
So I am Catalina, and on the photos, it will tell me there are like 8 pictures that cannot upload or cannot go to my gallery from my camera. I don't know if I'll be able to find on the table of contents because I'm not with you right now. I'm just listening.
Yeah,
but
no, that's fine. Yeah, this won't help you troubleshoot. This will help you use it, but it won't teach you how to troubleshoot stuff. That's an important point that you need to understand. And there are, if you haven't had experience, what Yolanda says, sometimes when you import photos, it just says, oh, these 4 don't work. Sometimes files get corrupted and they won't get imported. The guide won't deal with how to deal with problems, but if you go back to the list that I gave you, there's photos tech support, you can click on that and go to a page where you can do questions and troubleshooting and stuff like that. Okay.
Okay.
So the
All
user
right.
guide is just the best case scenario where everything works like it should be, but it doesn't have problem solving issues that go back to this one. All right. And usually the answer to that is that somehow those files got corrupted, and yeah, you pretty much can't do much about it, because if you can't transfer them, sometimes I can transfer them through a different way, but I find that in general when I do that, the file still doesn't work. So I don't know that it's actually even worth doing it the other way. Sometimes there's files that I don't know why, and this happens in the moment that you're taking the photo or the video, that they get corrupted. Thanks, Deb, for signing in, which reminds me, anyone who come in late, please go ahead and sign in to the chat so that I have registered your attendance. Okay, and then just
Diana, I was just
Yes.
going to tell you that I discovered that when you're using a regular digital camera and you start deleting, you know, you look at the viewfinder and you think, oh, I don't like this picture, I'm just going to delete it off the chip. But what I discovered by checking with some people, that sometimes that corrupts nearby pictures. And so I thought that was really interesting. They said, just leave all the bad pictures on there, transfer them, and then delete them off the computer, because you can damage other photos by doing, by deleting them off the little chip thing.
Yeah, so that is definitely what I was gonna advise, so you got good advice. I don't handle my photos on the camera. I download photos and then handle them on the computer. Plus, many times what you see on your computer and on your camera looks bad, but actually if you download it, there's so many ways, if you know how to use Photoshop or Lightroom, to fix photos that are bad, that I wouldn't discount things as bad off the top of my head from what little thing you can see in your viewfinder. And a lot of times photos that you think are great are next to another the same. So you delete 3 of them and you find that in fact, the one you're seeing is out of focus, but in the little viewfinder you can't tell, and maybe one of the ones that you saw that you did delete was in focus, and you cannot tell focus from the viewfinder. So yeah, if you have a digital camera, take the pictures, download them, and then deal with them on your computer. Totally good advice that you got there, and thanks for saying it for anyone here who does photos other than on your phone. Now, on your phone, it's different. If on your phone you delete a photo that you don't like, that doesn't usually affect other photos. But then again, who knows? Maybe it does, and maybe that's one of the reasons that happens. I have heard it doesn't, but maybe this translates to the camera, to the computer as well, to the phone as well, and you shouldn't be deleting them from the phone. I don't think so, but then again, I don't know everything under the sun. Okay. So now that you have a good access to how to get to the handouts, how to get to tech support, how to get to guides that help you in between when I'm not there to answer questions and after the class is over, let's go ahead and start working in our program, okay? I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. There we go. And I am going to ask everyone, if you didn't yet, to make sure you go find your phone or your main camera, whatever you do most of your shooting with. But if you do shoot with your phone at any point in time, which trust me, I'm a professional photographer and I mainly use my phone because it's with me all the time. So the camera that with you is the camera that is your main camera. Then when I do specific professional shooting, I shoot with my other camera, but basically for just about anything else, I pick up my phone and use my phone. Because we're going to keep exploring the conversation which we had about the iCloud and how Photos does or not have the photos go into your computer or not. So last week we left the class. Is it break time already? 1 to 2? No, not yet. It's only 1 hour. Sorry, Yolanda, a little bit longer. If you need to leave, go for it, but it's not break time yet. So when you, last week, or I always say last week, next week, I mean last class, next class. Okay, so sorry about that. Last class, I showed you guys the settings in the system preferences in your computer to see how you could have a check mark or a line or nothing, remember? in your settings? Okay. And then I showed you your phone where you could open the settings and go to your iCloud and see that same feature, whether it was on or not. But that we did at the very end of the class, right? So in the investigation of that, plus some of you guys also checked out your iPad. I got an email about that. Is there anything else that came up for you that you have a question that you need to know more about, how to check it on the phone or how to check it on your iPad? Other than that, we're going to move on to start using this app. But to discover the differences between lines and no lines. Right now, all I said is that if you have a check mark and you're using the iCloud on your phone and on your computer, then all your photos will flow from one to the other device, right? Uh-oh. Something got turned on that is making me, I'm going to mute everyone again because I'm hearing this kind of weird thing happening. Okay. So if you have that flow, you are using the iCloud photos. And does anyone want to remind me, I mentioned a few times, what's the advantage of using the whole iCloud photos system?
Because all the photos are available on all devices.
Great. When you take a picture, it pops it into the next one. Let me qualify that with, it happens once you get into Wi-Fi. So say that you're out and about camping and you take a picture. If at that point someone in your home opens your computer, it's not there yet. But the moment I walk into, for example, Starbucks and there's Wi-Fi, that's when the photo gets transferred to my computer. Does that make sense? You need to have Wi-Fi for that transition to happen. You don't need to do anything. It's automatic. It just flows into the rest of your thing once you have access to Wi-Fi. So it doesn't use your data to transfer the photos, okay? But the moment you walk into your house and you open up your computer, suddenly there are your photos because in your house, probably you connect automatically to Wi-Fi. All right? So that's the advantage. Anyone wants to point out, someone else, what the disadvantage is?
My question is, if you have 40,000 pictures on your computer and then you sync your iPhone to it, will that fill up your iPhone?
That's a great question. And let me, in a second, answer that. It indirectly talks about my question though, but can anyone very specifically say there's two big things that I mentioned are not so good about the iCloud system, indirectly mentioned by Dot's question? Does anyone venture to say what could not be so good?
If you delete something on one device, it deletes it on all of them.
Yeah, that's the big one, because a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm going to make space in my phone, I'm sorry, and I'm going to delete all these photos because they're in my computer, right? But if you are set up with the system where all your check marks and green buttons are on, if you delete it in one, like Bill said, it deletes somewhere else. So you can't make space in your devices this way. Got it? That's really important for you to know. Cannot make space in your devices by deleting photos if you are connected this way. Okay? Which brings us to in a way, what Dot was saying, which is you need to then have all your photos in the cloud, which means you have to pay for more space in the cloud. All right? Now, if you already have a big computer and your photos are in your computer, why would you have to pay more space in the cloud to have them be up there, right? Or so you would think. They're fine in my computer. So what can you answer to that? If they're already in your computer, why would you want them on the cloud? Yes, Hannah?
Something might happen to your computer and then you'd lose them all.
Yeah. So there is a plan B to that. If you have all your photos in your computer and you don't want them on the cloud, you don't want to pay more space in the cloud, but you have in your computer and you can lose them all because yes, computers die, hard drives die and all that, then at the very least, you need to set up a separate method of backing up your computer. You have to back up your computer so that those photos are not only in one place and or have them as another physical backup or have them on another kind of cloud backup that if you take macOS level 2, I'll talk more about that. So I'm not going to teach you that in this class. Just saying that if you don't use the cloud, your photos in your computer are at risk because computers die. Mine
Diana?
died, no matter how new or old they are. Hard drives cease functioning from 1 minute to the next, and if you have all your photos there without backups, you would be very sad, beyond sad in my case, and that's one of the advantages of having them on the cloud. So I'm just making all of these points because it's not that easy to decide whether to turn the click on and off, because as Dot said, if you have 40,000 photos in your computer, do you really want them on the cloud? Well, no, but if you don't, then you need to back them up some other way, okay? All right, someone tried to speak and I spoke over you?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
My things automatically go to the cloud.
Mhm.
I also have an external hard drive attached to my laptop.
Mhm.
Are all of the photos constantly being backed up on that hard drive if they're in the cloud?
You have another, explain the first part again. You have another, before I answer, to make sure I understood, you have an external drive with more photos that are not in your photos?
No, it's just a, a Seagate hard drive that, every day backs up my computer.
Okay, so it's a time machine setup?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, if you have a time machine, that's one of the many versions of backing up that I'm going to recommend. In fact, it's one of the main ones. Then all your photos are backed up onto your time machine. So if your computer dies, they are also on your hard drive, which is great backup if your computer dies. It is not great backup if there's a fire or a mudslide or that kind of thing, because then your hard drive dies as well. But it is perfect for preventing your computer death, which is the one thing that might happen most probably. Yes, we can all have earthquakes and fires and mudslides, but that's less probable than the fact that your hard drive might die. So a time machine is a great way to then have them saved without having them on the cloud. And if you want to know more about time machines, macOS level 2, which I believe starts July 21st, is where we talk about backup systems, which if you all have photos, you should have some backup system. Okay. Now, any other questions about that? There's more to talk about, like the photo stream, the little line, those two options. But of the system of it going round and round, I think I've pretty much explained all the goods and the bads. I want to move into using the program itself as well. So, but first you need to know where your photos are. So any other questions? Yes, Sue?
I was just, the question about the storage on the iPhone. On the iPhone, photos are stored in thumbnail format. So I have only 26,000, which is as many as 40, but I just looked it up. It takes 5 gigabytes on my iPhone for this 26,000, because if I open one up, then it downloads it downloads that full photo from the thumbnail.
So I'm going to talk about that in a minute to everyone.
Oh.
So yep, no, that's great. But
No,
I'll explain. That's how you save space. But give me a second. I'll explain the iCloud a bit more. So I'll for those of you who understood it, great. For those of you who didn't, I'll explain in detail what she said. But first, any other questions directly related to the advantages and disadvantages of turning it on, having the whole system on? Nope. Okay. Now. Wait, someone spoke up?
Is there just the one disadvantage that you mentioned, Deanna?
Well, space on your phone and paying for space would be the one disadvantage. The second one is that if you delete one, it deletes everywhere. And as long as you're aware of that, it's not a disadvantage. You just need to be aware of it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Some people consider safety issues of having your stuff online a disadvantage, but the world's everything, the world's information, the world's everything is online right now. You're going to the bank online, everything online. So at this point, it's up to you to make that decision whether having things online is secure or not. Things get hacked into. I can't speak to that other than it's a personal choice whether you trust or not that your stuff is online. But if it's in your computer, someone come into your house and steal your computer and still have access to your stuff. So I don't know. That one, I'm always a little bit, I don't know how to answer. I think it's a personal choice. So yeah, Suzanne, you had your hand up.
Yeah, this is regarding my iPad. I have everything in the cloud, but when I look to check the settings that you showed,
That's the photo stream. So hold on.
Okay.
That's the photo stream. So let me talk about that. I haven't explained that yet. Okay. It seems to me that now I can move on to explain the other options of how to use photos on the cloud, which is part of what Suzanne is saying. When you don't want that whole perfect, you know, transmission of information amongst all three. Are we ready to start on that? Now, before I start on that, actually, something I do in class always is, how many of you guys have discovered from looking at all your settings that yes, you are set up that way, that you are set up so that all your photos, when you take a photo, it shows up everywhere. Raise your digital hands, raise your little blue digital hands on the participants button. And if you don't know how to do that, go down to the participants button and click that on. It says 35 right now, and raise your hands that way. Okay, so now I'm getting a slew of hands of people who are set up that way. If you are not set up that way, but you got convinced that this is a good thing and you want to do that, then raise your hand as well. Okay, so I've got a few more hands going up there. Those of you who want to set it up that way, it's a simple process. Just, and listen to me well, if your check marks were off or sideways and you want this system where you forget about it and your photos are everywhere and they're saved in the cloud, go ahead and check it on. I've told you before not to do that, but now you understand what works with that, then go ahead and do that. It is safe to turn it on. What's not so safe is turn it off. So if you don't like it, if you're one of the ones who said, I don't want that, don't just uncheck yet until I explain a bit more. But if you want it on, yeah, just go ahead and go to every one of your devices and make sure that your iCloud button is green, that your iCloud Photos Library button is green, or on your computer that it's check marked on, okay? That would be those of you who said, well, yeah, I kind of want that to be my way. And where that button would be is, let me show you again on your phone first, and then I'll go to the cloud. So I'm gonna go ahead and see me as speaker view right now, or pin me so that you can see me big. Go to my button, my face, my little face if you're seeing me small, and click on the 3 dots and say pin video so that you can see me big for a bit, because I'm gonna demonstrate now. I'm gonna show you something just by putting my phone up to the screen. And so the only way to do that well is to have you guys. So go to your iCloud icon, which, let me see myself big over here so I can see what you're seeing. Hold on, video. Okay, so go to your iCloud button, to your settings button on your phone or your iPad. This is identical, so you can do it on your phone or your iPad this way. Then you go to your name at the top, okay, and click on that. I'm trying to do this backwards, so my hand, there we go. Go to your name. And once you see your name, go down to the iCloud. See how there it says iCloud? Click on iCloud. And then you come to the option of photos. And you click on photos right there. And that right there, I'm going backwards, my can't. That right there is what needs to be green. So if you want your photos to be part of that system where it all works all around, your iPad and your iPhone have to be green where it says my cloud photos, okay? That one. As you can see, mine is not. Mine is on Photo Stream, and I'm going to explain that option next. But that's what you need to have for it to work round and round and round, okay? Now, really quickly, I will now share my screen to show you how to do that on the computer. So, on your computer, let me hide all the other stuff that I had open. And I'm going to open my system preferences. And in your system preferences, I do not have Catalina, so I have to go down here to find iCloud. So anyone who has Mojave and later has to go down here. If you have Catalina, you go up here to where it says Apple ID. I'm going to go here, and once you click for both Apple ID or Mojave, you'll be in the same spot. You'll go to your iCloud account, and for some reason, I'm teaching from a really old iPad. Oy. Come on. There it is. It's a 2012, and I'm finding its limits when I'm trying to hold 35 people in a cloud and a bunch of other stuff. So, it's thinking. I might have to share my other computer that's much faster. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to share from my other computer because this one's resisting. So I'm going to my other computer to share my screen. And yes, what you're seeing right now is the background photo. It's one of my kids all his life has been doing imaginary chalk paintings, and that's when he was young. So hold on. I'm bringing it up here. Okay, can you all see this now? Okay, so this is my iCloud. And over here, that's where you're seeing my iCloud photos. And over here in your system preferences, you would choose, if you want this to be checked, you need to go to the options on the right and then click on iCloud photos. Okay. Now, I do not know right now. That should be, interestingly enough, I do have it set up with my photo stream. For some reason, I must have been demoing it and turn it off. Okay, so that is what should be checked for you to automatically upload and store all your photos and videos in iCloud back and forth. Okay, that's what needs to be on. So those are the two settings that I showed as how it has to be on to work all the way across. And in your iPhone, in your iPad, in your other computer, then all your devices are sharing the same information.
Deanna?
Any questions before I move into the whole iStream question? Yes, photo stream.
I have one.
Dorothy.
What's the difference between the iCloud and the iCloud Drive?
Yeah. That question, I go deeply into in macOS level 1 and 2. It has nothing to do with the Photos program. So I'm going to bypass that answer because it's way too complicated to bring it up right now. Okay. As much as when I'm in that class, people want to know about photos, and I go, no. I'm going to talk about that in the photos class because either one takes, a whole days and days. So it's not that I don't want to answer you, but all right. So
Deanna,
yes?
may I just clarify, the only thing that we're supposed to be dealing with right now is making sure that the check mark next to photos under the iCloud area is checked. We don't go to the options at all. Is that correct?
Well, in order for it to be checked, you need to go to the options and then check mark it right here. So
okay,
yes,
thank you. Thank
that
you.
will, if you do that, then
Got
that
it.
will turn this one here into a check mark.
Thank you.
Okay? You don't just check it from here.
Diana?
Okay. Yes?
Kip here.
Mhm.
So if I don't want to use the iCloud on my Mac at all, should there not be any check? Is that what you said?
Well, the iCloud photos or the iCloud, because they're two different things. So
I'm in the area where you are,
yeah.
apps, and there already was a check on this brand new Mac for the iCloud Drive.
Okay.
It says the 5 gigabytes available. I haven't done anything, but should I keep the check there?
So stop for a minute. If you're talking about the iCloud Drive, ask me that in tomorrow's macOS level 1 class, which you're in, because then I will talk about that there. So I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about photo. The only thing this class is concerned with is this one.
Okay.
Because as I said, it's just too much to deal with. So now, if you choose photos, now I'm going to speak to what I believe Sue said. If you choose to do this system, there's one more choice that you're going to come up with, which is not showing up for me because I don't have it on, which is that you can choose to have only thumbnails of your photos in your phone or in your iPad because they are smaller and they don't have space, or in your computer because it could be smaller as well. Some of you have a small hard drive with an iPad Air, not with an iPad, with a notebook that's an Air. and it has a small hard drive. So if you don't want all your photos to be on your devices, then you need to click on the option that says maximize your space or minimize your space. I'm not sure what it says. I don't have it in front of me right now. Does anyone see it that you can read it to me? I don't remember right now the wording.
It says, Diana, on mine, Catalina, it says the check is optimize Mac storage.
There
The
we
full
go.
contents of iCloud Drive will be stored on this Mac if you have enough space.
Yeah.
Older documents will be stored only
Mhm.
in iCloud when space is needed.
Okay, great. Thank you for reading that. And let me explain. She read the instructions based on the iCloud Drive, but it's the same as the photos. Okay, so ignore what you said about documents. We're talking photos. So thank you for sharing that. The word is optimize storage. So if you click on that choice, then your photos only are in full size resolution on the cloud. And in your devices, you only have thumbnails. Now, those thumbnails are big enough to share on social media. They're big enough to show to people on your phone. They're big enough to do 90% of what you want to do. The only thing they're not big enough is to print a photo, an actual paper photo of them. Okay? So you can say that the day you want to actually print a photo, then you have to set to that photo and say download a full-size image, and then from the cloud the full-size image comes in, and that's the one that you send to print. Okay, so we're going to practice that when we get into that space, but that's how you save space. And you can have 40,000 things in your phone because it really keeps only a thumbnail of it, and the big one is in the cloud, which is why you need to have a lot of space in the cloud, and you have to pay for a lot of space in the cloud. Does that make sense?
Deanna?
Okay. Yes.
Can I ask a question? So then the photos that are downloaded to a desktop, are those pretty much full resolution for printing?
If you have the setting that to maximize your storage or to optimize your storage, I believe is the word. If that's the setting you have turned on, then when you do ask for the full one to be in your computer, then the one that comes down is full size original. Yeah, it's as big as it can be. Okay, but the only place that big full size original is stored is in the cloud. Now, what that means too is that if you have a time machine and it's copying what's on your computer, it's not copying the full size ones, it's copying the versions, but it's okay because supposedly the rest is still stored in the cloud. Okay, now when I talk about this cloud, there's this whole like, well, what a minute, what is this cloud? Where are all these cloud? So I'm going to show you how to get to the cloud itself as well. But first, let me talk about the second option, the photo stream option. The reason I don't want to necessarily speak that much about the photo stream option is because I believe, I mean, that's how I use it. But I believe that what I read is that the next version of the OS is not going to support the photo stream. It's the old version of syncing photos, and they've kept it up for many years. And from what I heard, it's kind of going to be taken away as an option, which it would be a problem for me. I need to figure out what they give us as a plan B, because this is what's happening. I don't have 40,000, I have 400,000 photos. I don't even know how many, but I have ridiculous amounts of photos. So I cannot use the iCloud photo library. It's not financially worthwhile for me, right? So what I have turned on as plan B is my photo stream. Okay, so what my photo stream does is that the last 1,000 photos, and it has a time frame device, I think it's also 1 month of photos, get transferred automatically into my computer. Not every single one, and not my videos. So if I lose my phone, any videos on my phone would be lost. And if I don't connect my phone to my computer every month or so, then anything that, if I took more than 1,000 photos, those photos are also lost. So you have to be much more aware and on top of things if you have my photo stream, because you need to connect your phone with a plug to your computer and manually download all your videos. But your photos, last thousand photos automatically get transferred to your computer and to your directly, not to your cloud. My photos are not in the cloud. They move to my computer directly. So it's a plan B that if you are interested in, it's got more technical, you know, it's for someone who has a very good reason to need that. And I don't recommend it to people who are not really good with file management. But if you are good with file management and you don't want to have your stuff in the cloud because you don't want to pay what it takes, then you can turn on this option. I have a handout, as Suzanne discovered, about my photo stream. If that's you, go read that handout, and then with all that information, we can talk more about it, okay? But how many of you now go to your participants and put a yes check mark if you think you would like the photo stream option? Okay. Okay, I'm seeing 2 or 3.
Diana,
Yes.
on my phone, it's green. I have the iCloud photos and the photo stream. They're uploaded to my photo stream. They're both green. They're both on.
Yeah, that's fine. It's kind of like once you had it on, it stays on. When you turn the other one on, it kind of overrides it. It stays on, but really what's happening is everything is being transferred. So it doesn't make a difference. Where it makes a difference is if you don't have the iCloud photos on and you have only your photo stream on, then that's the only thing that's working. But by having it both on, it's fine. You're basically using the iCloud photos where everything is going round and round, so you're fine. Okay. Okay, so I'm seeing about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different yeses, which I'm assuming those yeses are, as I said, in order to say, yes, I am interested in using my photo stream. So my request, if that is you, would be that you go, and I'm going to put over here the handouts, and that you, oh, this is the other, hold on, enter to iLife. I want you to go here and read the iCloud library versus my photo stream handout, okay? And once you've done that, if you have more questions, we can talk more about that, and you can actually also, I can point you to some other things. And once you're sure that that's what you want, then you can, I mean, turning it on is not hard. The problem is if what you're going to do is turn off your iCloud photo library. Because when you turn off your iCloud photo library, if you suddenly disconnect, uncheck the iCloud photo library, what you're going to end up with is, yeah, we're going down a break in a second. What you're going to end up with is that you might lose connection to your photos and they stay only in the cloud and not in your phone. And then you need to know how to connect again to your photos. So don't uncheck if you already do have the iCloud photo library. But yes, you can add the photo stream safely. What's unsafe is to uncheck these things. To add them is okay. All right. So go find out more about it with that handout. Go find out more about your options, and then we can talk more in depth about the My Photo Stream option. With the caveat that from what I heard, it's probably going to be discontinued. And I don't know yet what the plan B is for that one. I want to give us a break, but I also want to say that really quickly that there is a new OS that's coming out relatively soon, and it's called Big Sur. And this new OS is demonstrably different than even Catalina. They're actually streamlining and doing a lot of other things to it. So I think it's in Big Sur that the photo stream won't be supported anymore. I'm going to find out more about it, but we just began to get the new news about this new OS just came out last week. Okay, the OS isn't out there yet, but the news about it and what it's going to be is I'm beginning to read about it to find out what the systems are. Okay, so are we all ready to take a break?
Yes.
Let me just finish this thing. And then if you have everything off, the last choice, which was everything is off, all your boxes are off, your green things are gray. That means that your devices are islands on their own, and that your photos in your phone don't go anywhere but your phone. Anything you have in your computer doesn't go anywhere. And when you want your photos to transition to your computer, you need to manually connect and download the photos from your phone into your computer. And then if you delete them from your phone, they don't affect the computer because they're not connected. Okay, so that's the third option of how you can have your photos in your phone. And if we go to that option, you are solely responsible for not losing your phone without having transferred them, because if you do, they're gone forever. And checking in every week, month, depending on how many photos you take every day, and transferring your photos so that you have them in both places and they don't just live on your phone. That's plan C, right? With all the checks, the box is completely unchecked. So I just wanted to say that. I don't know how many of you want that option, and if you do, let me know. But other than that, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to start opening up the Photos app and actually start working on it, while in your brain you decide what you want to do with the iCloud. It's up to you and your preferences, but now you know how it works, and I can help you make those button choices. Okay? Robert, you just came in, but we're taking a break right now, so don't be surprised that we're dropping out. I'm going to, it's 2:39, let's say it's 2:40, so we're gonna go until 3:05. We'll be starting in at 3:05. Okay, does that make sense? You all okay with that?
Yep.
All
That's
right.
25 minutes?
No, 15. Did I say that wrong? It's 2:40. Oh, you're right.
5 to 3.
Sorry. I obviously need help with math, okay?
5 to 3.
5 of.
What's that? 5 of. So at 2:55 is 15 minutes, okay? So at 5 of 3, thank you for that. Hopefully nobody disappeared before we corrected me. At 5 minutes to 3, we'll start again.
Good.
Mm.
Come on, you can lay down now. You gotta be a good boy, okay?
Krista, did you know that your screen is being shared? Or Annette?
What does that mean?
That means that anybody in this class, what we're seeing on our computers is you and your screen, your computer screen, your kitchen in the background.
So, well, I know my pictures. I mean, everybody's pictures. You mean just right now while we're on break?
Yeah, it's just you
Oh.
alone. And it says
Oh.
you are viewing Annette's screen.
Okay, what do I do?
Either at the top or at the bottom, there should be something about sharing your screen, and you just turn it off.
Yeah, guys, I'm listening in. Yeah, go to the red stop sharing button and click on that.
Red stop sharing, where's that?
Go up to the top
Uh-huh.
screen and you see something that says stop sharing screen or.
Well, I see you are viewing a net screen and then I see view options.
It's a net screen, not Chris's. Who's speaking? It's not Chris. Who's speaking? It's a net screen that we're seeing. There we go. Okay, now it's stopped.
Okay, so what about mine? I mean, I see myself.
No, you're fine yourself. Someone was sharing their screen and it was a net, not yours, so I'm not sure why. Someone had, like when I share my screen to show stuff, Annette had her screen shared and now she stopped.
Okay.
Now you were just you being a video, that's all.
Okay.
It's not you. I'm gonna
How come, where did everybody else go?
On break.
Well, we're on break.
We are on break.
Okay, but everybody's pictures should still be there, right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
not necessarily.
Okay.
We turn it off on the stop video and we mute ourselves so that we can do private things while we are on break and nobody would see our movements and
Okay.
our, you know.
Okay, so I was still on mute, I think. Okay.
No,
anyway.
you are on mute. You are not mute.
Okay.
You know when you are mute, if you look at your name and it is there's no X on the microphone.
Okay,
On the
yeah, I just turned it off, I
microphone.
think, when Annette spoke to me. Okay.
Okay. Well, the one who is sharing is gone. I don't know who was sharing.
She fixed it, I think.
Hmm.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm in the process of sending you an email, so give me 1 second more because I'm trying to find out the iLife. Can you all hear me? Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
good. As long as I hear one person say yes, then that means I know that so I am live. I sent an email to the Mac OS level 1 people earlier today, and now I am sending it to this group, and I'm trying to make sure that I have the right set of emails. Give me a second. iLife is 991. Okay. A sec, because so many of you overlap. Normally I can look at a roster and then I know which class it is, but quite a few of you are overlapping. And so I want to make sure I get the right people, the right emails. Okay. So what I'm sending you now is a link to the handouts and the folders, and everything we've been talking about. And that way you can use that as a source. Okay. Remember that when you get this email that I just sent you, that if you click on the links, it'll only work if you're accessing them from inside of your pipeline email. Otherwise, you have to do what we did today. All right? So it should be there in your mail whenever you go check your mail. Okay, questions. By the way, so Paul and anyone who's writing in the chat, a lot of you keep writing to me privately. You don't notice, but when you say to write, it says to someone, and then you're probably saying to Diana. Go ahead and say to everyone, because your questions are questions that probably everyone would be interested to hear the answer to. So try to remember before you send the chat to make sure that it's sending to everyone, unless it is an actual personal question, right? So Paul is mentioning that he had a check mark, and that if he decided to uncheck it, would some photos be deleted? It's an important question because I want to make sure everyone knows about that. When you uncheck, you disconnect your material. And depending on what OS you have on your phone or on your computer, different things would happen. So it's not an easy answer I can give you, Paul. It's possible that things would disconnect and remain isolated, and from there on, they're everywhere. It's possible. But it's also possible that, like what happens in the iCloud, that all the stuff kind of retreats and sits up in the cloud, and then you don't have it on your other items. It depends on whether you asked it to be optimized or not, or things like that. So unchecking is not that simple. And if you're going to uncheck, you need to be aware of what versions you have of everything, what's going to happen. And the first thing you should, before you uncheck, you need to make a backup of all your files, of all your photos, so that if something weird happens, you have them somewhere else. See what I mean? When you uncheck, here's my glasses, there's a different set of steps of where the photos could end up being. So I wouldn't decide to uncheck until you do some more research, and 100% sure until you at very least back up your photos. Then if you do lose something or miss out on something, then at least you can, then you can just replace them from your backup. Technically, nothing should happen that's bad, but that's the whole technically, right? And when it does happen and it's your photos and you're the 1 out of 10,000 that loses their photos, that would still be devastating for you, because sometimes bad things do happen. So anyway, that's the question. Then another question. I haven't read the long one. Oh, this is just Yolanda and Anika. Okay, so that looks like a private. If you wanna, I believe we have it set up that you cannot talk privately to each other. And that was because of the settings for City College, where they didn't want students to be able to be doing kind of strange stuff behind the scenes, so to say. And so you can privately write to me and I can privately write to you, but you students can only write to me privately or to everyone. But you can't have like Yolanda write to Anita or Anita to Paul, because that could have been kind of intrusive. So anyway, they turned that feature off.
Diana, that is the question. She had the question to you on the burst, burst photos, and
okay,
yeah.
So we'll talk about,
yeah, sorry about that.
No. I just didn't read the whole question, but I read the top about how to chat privately. So I wanted to tell you all, it's not that something's not working. I mean, it is not working, but because it's a feature that's been turned off. You might have been in other Zoom classes or meetings where you can chat to each other privately. That option is not given to you here. Okay. As far as the burst of photos, yeah, we're going to start working actually with the photos now. So I'll explain about photo bursts and things like that. The question that Paul had was important that you all hear, because I don't want everyone to just willy-nilly say, oh, okay, well, I'll just turn mine off. I want you to first back up your photos, and then if you turn them off, you and you are one of the very few who have issues, then you've saved your photos somewhere else. And so if that's your issue, I don't know that I have a handout for how to disconnect. I'm looking at the handouts right now that are over here. I don't have anything specifically on the handouts right now saying if I do turn it off, how to handle that. Paul, can you send me an email so that when I have some free time, maybe over the weekend, I can look for something good that has good instructions that I can post in there? Because otherwise, yeah, I don't have it there right now. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. I have a couple of other questions that have been emailed to me here and there. And I just want to say that when it's questions about other type of files, such as someone asked me about music files and things like that, here we're only going to deal with photos. Okay, photos and videos in this class. In the macOS level 1 and 2 classes, we're talking about other kinds of files, but in particular music is a little bit like photos. In the macOS level 1 and 2 classes, in particular macOS level 1, the one I'm teaching right now, I talk more about all the files in general that go into your computer and where they go and how they get handled and stuff like that. But the one that is as much as photos is the program that handles photos. iTunes used to handle music, and now it's something called Music that handles music, and all of that is covered more specifically in Norma Egley's class, which is, I believe, called iTunes. What's the name? Does anyone remember? It's an iTunes class.
I mean the iLife?
No, this is the iLife class. There's something called iTunes or something like that.
GarageBand?
What's that?
GarageBand?
Nope, that one's this one. There's a class called iTunes. I think it's iTunes, iPods,
handheld devices.
Nope.
Handheld devices? No. Okay.
Nope, that's not one. There's it's actually called, the word iTunes is in the name. But the thing is, iTunes is being discontinued as well. So I don't know, again, kind of like iLife, it's a name that suddenly doesn't make sense. iTunes suddenly won't make sense. But I'll read, go ahead and I'll read.
It's Victoria, it's iTunes. It's
Intro
to
just
iTunes.
Intro to iTunes is just the name for it. Okay, there you go. So Intro to iTunes is that name for it. And I don't know when it's being offered, but if you connect with Norma Egley, who teaches that, she might be able to tell you or remind me, and I can forward the email to her.
It's usually spring and summer.
Thank you, Victoria, for knowing about the schedule way better than me. That's great. So anyway, here's the deal. The Mac handles files automatically now in a way that when it's photos or music or videos, when it's media, it has apps that deal with them, like the photos deals with photos and videos, and music for music and whatever. So those are files that you don't see hanging out on your computer anymore. But if you have old stuff, and the reason I'm responding to this, even though it's a question about music, is because you might have old photos hanging out in your computer from before before the Photos program existed, that you brought in a disc or that you have in a CD or something like that. And those photos, as equivalent to if you've recorded music and have your own music and stuff, those need to be incorporated now into these apps for them to be playable and viewable and stuff like that. So if you have old photos, you can choose to leave them hanging out there and not be part of this photos program, or you can import them into this photos program and then handle them together with all the photos that you're using now. Okay, so I'll cover how to do that. We've been talking about how to move everything around on your phone and on your iPad, but then how do we bring all the photos that are not part of that system? So that's going to be the conversation that we're going to do once we open the program now. Okay, so unless there's any other burning questions out of this, and I do know that I'll keep answering questions about this all along our class, so it's not like this is the last time you can ask about the iCloud system. But I want to, and I will in particular show you how to access the iCloud itself, the one that you don't really even know about right now, because you know how to get your device, your computer, but this iCloud thing I'm talking about, I will show you, but not today. Now I want us to open the program and begin to see how the program itself is working. And by that, I mean the photos program, the photos app. First thing that I want to say is that in order to see some photos in your computer, that you can, to bring in photos into your computer that you're willing to mess around with and lose or delete or things like that, what I'd recommend is that you go and I should have thought about having you do it yesterday for today, but instead I'm going to say go ahead and after today's class and before next week's class, spend some time with your phone and take 20 or 30 photos of things. Just go walk around your sidewalk, your garden, your I don't know, whatever place, just check your kitchen and take 20 photos. But go ahead and take some photos that we can mess around with, okay? Because we need to be able to download some photos that you can be free to lose, for me to be free to say, well, put this in here, put this in there. Does that make sense? And so go ahead and do that as a homework. And if you take them all at the same time, then that'll be good, because then we can just download that chunk of photos and then any other photos that you don't want. And for the most part, I'm not seeing your computers, nor is anyone else. So it's not so much a personal privacy issue unless you share at some point your screen with me because you're having problems. But there's also the fact that I'm going to be leading you into doing things that might cause you to lose something, and I just don't want to be responsible for having you lose your daughter's wedding photos or something important like that while you're learning. And then after that, you can apply what you learned to your good photos. Okay. So now we are going to go ahead and open that app. Remember that depending on what version of OS you have, you might be working with something different than me. And at school, I can always equalize that, because at school, you would always be using the same version I'm using. So I can teach you things that then apply to you. But here, for the first time ever, I'm in a situation where I'm going to be saying, you should see this. And then 1/3 of you are going to go, I don't see that, because you will be using the version of photos according to whatever OS that you have set up. You know what I mean? So, so if you don't see something, don't panic, but also don't necessarily give up, like, oh, I must be doing something wrong. No, it's very possible that if you don't see it, it's because yours is in a different way or in a different place, because you have a different version. In which case, just say, well, it's not working for me, and then speak up and tell me, and I'll help you figure out where it is in yours, if it is there, or if that feature just isn't there at all. Does that make sense? Many times you kind of go, well, I must be doing something wrong if you don't see what I'm showing. But I'm going to say that my version of photos is the Mojave version. Okay, I have Mojave. I am considering upgrading one of my computers to Catalina so that then I can demonstrate both of those versions. But for now, I have other considerations as to why I'm not upgrading. So I am using Mojave. If something is slightly different, it'll be because you're in Catalina or in Sierra or High Sierra. Now, if it is quite a bit different, then that means you're probably using El Capitan or, actually lower versions. And if you're using iPhotos, then things are, I would say, very different. Is anyone aware already that the version, that program that they're using is actually iPhotos instead of photos? I'm gonna mute you all because someone has the phone ringing. So now if you need to speak to me, you actually need to make an effort to unmute yourself. Does anyone know? I'm gonna clear all your answers from before. Is anyone aware, just off the top of your head, you know that you're using iPhotos? And if you don't even know the difference, that's fine. But if you are aware that you're using iPhotos, I'd like to know. Okay, so let me look at my handout. I used to have, I need to remember where iPhotos started. I believe it went from Mavericks to Yosemite in 2014. So if you have something older than Yosemite, and you have Mavericks or Mountain Lion, Lion, or Snow Leopard as your OS, then that means you've been using iPhotos. So did anyone in that description recognize their computer in those names? Okay, if you don't.
Pardon me. I had a lot of those old photos, and I think, remember me telling you I had 2 separate photo albums that I was working with. I think that's what happened, was they doubled up. They took the old iPhotos, gave me the new photos, and now I have both, but they're in separate locations.
Yeah.
But I'm now on photos in El Capitan.
Yeah, so this is something that happened to Bill a while ago, and it doesn't necessarily need to be your story, but the idea was that when at some point you upgraded from iPhotos to Photos, which just happened automatically when you upgraded your software, so you didn't even notice it was happening. When you opened Photos, suddenly it wasn't iPhotos anymore, it was Photos. And internally, the computer changed your library in a way that it worked with the new app. But it suddenly ended up with 2, it didn't delete your old one. It ended up in your computer with one thing called iPhotos library and one called Photos library, which is just a little I in a difference, but it's hugely different. Now, if you ignored that, if you don't know about files, Bill knows about files. So he went into his files and he figured that out, and he knows he has 2 copies. But most of you guys, if you just kept using Photos, it did not become an issue. You just had your photos now in Photos. So this is for people who've had computers for a while where this happened. And then you just ignored the other file and it went away. But since he knows about files and where to find them, he discovered now he had 2. So he kept kind of using one and then another, and then that kind of discombobulated his stuff because some of his photos were in one and some of his photos were in another. Unless you are in a situation where you know how to handle files and you kind of did that, you should be okay. All the files from iPhotos transferred into Photos, and you just kind of keep working on that now. So if anyone recognizes what I said from what happened to you, like happened to Bill, then that's a different conversation about file management, and I can help you with that as I helped him. But no, most of you guys shouldn't have that issue. Yes, Sue?
That was my original issue starting with this class. I discovered the files under iPhotos were duplicates. And so I just wanted to take the whole iPhotos, you know, because I had the iPhotos library, and then under that, all my original, you know, international trips, Austria kind of organization. I just wanted to delete iPhotos because I spent a lot of times checking to see if they were actually duplicates of what were in my old structure. And I mean, I didn't check out 26,000 photos, but every time I checked things out, they were. And I just wanted to click on iPhotos and delete them. But that's a scary thing to do.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I did that too, and I checked a bunch. Again, I can't check 250,000 photos, but everything I checked seemed to work. It doesn't always. You could be the 1 in 1,000, 1 in a billion for whom it didn't work. So instead of deleting that whole folder, if you have a way to back it up, drag it to some other hand place, just have it just in case in some future in some other hard drive, and then delete it from your computer because it takes up a bunch of gigabytes. That way there is some kind of backup in case you ever discover, wait a minute, what about my trip to that is not here and I never noticed. Then at least you know that it is somewhere way back there in your iPhotos folder. But everything should have transitioned as you say it did, and everything should be correct. I wouldn't completely delete it and trash it. I would just copy it onto another drive, leave it there, and delete it from your computer. And it's a security you have.
So putting it on a flash drive, that's what I've done with, you know, these huge flash drives that have huge capacity.
Yeah.
Would that be something you would think just to copy iPhotos onto a flash drive and then delete them off the computer?
Yeah, I don't trust flash drives as much as I do a hard drive because flash drives are less stable than hard drives, but even hard drives can die. So yeah, but that's your only option really. Your third option, and again, if y'all take my Mac level 2 class, I'll talk about backing up. The third option would be to back it up to the cloud, and then you have it in something physical that could die, or you have it up in the cloud, which, you know, is in a different way safer. And then you just kind of ignore it, but it's there. And, you know, like you could put it in the pipeline Google Drive that I showed you, copy it onto that. It takes a bunch of stuff, and then, you know, at least it's there somewhere, and then delete it. And it's somewhere else than just on a physical hard drive. I've had way too many drives and hard drives die to trust that in any way as my only backup. Okay? All right. So for those of you who never had iPhotos or never even noticed the transition, then you're fine. Just, you know, open photos, your photos are there, and that's all you need to worry about. Okay? We are going to now open photos. The sample that I am using is one that has never been used. And I did that because a few of you guys might be in that situation, and I want to show you from the very beginning how to set it up. Now, I have unchecked, I have cleared all of your answers. If any of you are aware that you have never used your Photos app on your computer, go ahead and raise your hand so that I'll know that you're in that situation. Like you haven't opened the Photos app in your computer at all. And for example, maybe Kip, since your computer is new, you don't have it set up either. Maybe you did transfer stuff from somewhere else. I don't know, but okay, I see a couple of people there who have raised your hands, who haven't used their Photos app. The digital hand, the blue hand on the participants list is the one I want you to raise, okay? I have to see the class in 2 or 3 sections because there's 35 people participating. So if you raise your physical hand right now, I might, by the time you put it down, I might have missed you. Okay. So I'm seeing 4 or 5 hands of people who have not used the Photos app on the Mac. And Bill, can you explain your situation, since I do know you have used it?
This is like the 4th computer. This is my wife's computer, and I've never put photos on it.
Okay, great. Yeah, Bill has a whole array from older to newer, from his to his wife's that he handles. And so I'm always having to check in with him. What's the situation and which one he's talking about. So yeah, he could almost teach all these classes by now of all the work he's been doing with the iMacs. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up my, I'm going to share, let me be clear, I'm going to share my, oh, I have to do it on this computer because I shared from the wrong place. Okay, sorry, I have 2 different setups. I have my computer set up in the account for teaching and the account for myself. And the one that's my own, of course, I do have a lot of photos in, but I can't switch accounts. So I'm going to share from this one. Okay. So now sharing from this computer. Are you all seeing my nice Sahara background? You know what I'm sharing from my personal computer when in the background you see my kids' photos flying around. And when I'm sharing the one that has the Mojave is because it's the teaching account. So I'm going to go down, and I'm not sure if you see it. Do you see my dock when I go down to the dock? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go down to the dock and open up the icon that says photos. Does anyone not see the icon of photos in their dock? Because it's possible that this little flowery icon has been eliminated from your dock. You know, if you don't know how to do it on purpose, you could do it by mistake. In which case you need to find your Photos app by going to the Spotlight, which is this right-handed search, and just write the word photos in it. But if not, it's one of the ones that comes on the dock. What's the question?
I have a question also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you put this in your, what is it, participants on the left side? I forgot what that's called on the left side strip. This flower of photos.
Yeah.
Is it participants?
No, the participants is part of Zoom. And oh, Robert, you joined us a little bit later. At the very beginning, I let everyone into making sure that their Zoom window was smaller so that you could then see your own photos. So
I'll watch your video later.
Well, that's okay, but I just want to make sure everyone's there. I want to make sure that everyone remembers that you need to have what I showed to you. And Robert, you're in two computers, so you're fine. You got two connections, don't you?
Diana?
Hold on, let me finish with Robert, please. Yeah, so you're no problem. You can watch us in one and do the photos in another, in which case, on your dock, your Max dock at the bottom of your screen, you should see the icon for photos. And if you don't see it, then go up to this spotlight, which is this top right search, and then just write the word photos, okay? And that at that point, many different things come up. Be careful if you have photo booth, if you have Photoshop or stuff like that, but wait until you see just the word photos with this little flowery icon, and then double click on that. That's for those of you who do not have it on the dock. Yes,
okay,
Yolanda?
My question was then, can I put this icon or this access under favorites?
Under?
On the left-hand side.
No, I don't. I'm not sure what you're saying. Favorites would be part of your window. Like here, I believe what you're saying is if you were to open up a Finder window like this, can you put it here? Is that what you're asking me?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, you can't put applications here. You could go into your applications folder like that, and then look for the P for the photos and open it from there. Yes, you could do that. But ideally, if you're going to use this a lot, you could drag this down and put it in your dock, and that's how you would have it in your dock, okay? So there you go. You wouldn't like here put a little icon for an application. You would put it down here. Okay. Yolanda, what was your?
Following Robert's question, does it mean that when you open your flower, your photo, shall your students also do the same thing?
Yeah, so I'm going to show you mine, and if you want to do yours parallel to mine, that's fine. The only thing is that mine has been not used yet. So mine might not be the same as yours yet, because if you have already used yours, you'll go straight into your Photos app, versus mine, it will go into, well, hello, welcome. So I'm going to show you that first, and then we'll figure out how to bring photos into there, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, so I'm going to click on photos now. And so it's opening up, and if you want to do that on your side of the screen, if you've already used photos on your side of the screen, you'll just pop into your Photos app. But this is what's happening to me and to about 4 other people who have told me with their raised hands that they haven't used photos yet, okay? So the first thing that it says is, yay, get started, what's new, and stuff like that. So the only thing I want to point out about here is that there's something called live photos that confuses some people. And here it's telling you how you can edit them in the Photos app, but those live photos would be something that you would take if you have an iPhone, which I believe, for example, Kip, I think you said you have a Samsung. So this wouldn't apply to you. And anyone else, maybe Vicky also, who has, or Victoria, not Vicky, Victoria, who has no, you have an iPhone. Someone else had a Samsung. Who else has a Samsung or an iDroid other than Kip? Was there anyone else? No. Okay. So when you're taking your phone, you can choose, and I'll show you. This isn't a how to take photos class, but I will be showing you the phone features here and there. But one of the features that you might not want, but that shows up all the time if you don't know about it, is a live photo, which is like a little 3-second video instead of a photo. And do you know what I mean? Have you recognized, have you seen that when you see a photo and it kind of moves? Yeah.
Yes.
So that's called live photos.
Deanna, it's Victoria. I'm the one who had an LG phone. It's an Android.
Okay, thank you. So Victoria and Kip are the, can you turn the sound up? There we go. Nope. For some reason, someone is still, let me mute everyone again because I'm getting some feedback again. Okay. Carol, are you raising your hand or you're, no. Okay. So now we have, let me camera continue. Okay. So this is telling you how you can edit and do stuff with your photos. So for the live photos, I'll talk about the details about that next, but I just wanted to show you that live photos are videos. And remember how videos take up much, much more space on your computer than photos do. So if you want a video, that's fine. You take up a lot of space. If you want a photo, that's fine. You take a photo. But when you inadvertently take live photos, you are going to take a lot more space in your phone and in your computer because they really are short little videos. Okay? So if you don't want that effect, then I will show you on the phone how to turn that off because a lot of the times we don't even notice that we're taking them. Okay? And I personally don't want the live photo effect because it takes up too much space. But if you do want them, then you can also do some fun stuff with them. You can bounce them around, you know, you can turn them into little fun GIFs and stuff like that. The little things that loop around and make sense. So there's a point in having them if you want them. But they can be kind of obnoxious if you don't want them. So I'm just pointing that out here. And I also wanted you to know that the photos allows you to do a lot of advanced editing. So those of you who are accustomed to Photoshop or Lightroom, it doesn't replicate Photoshop or Lightroom and the fact that there's not, you know, the amount, it's not the professional program. But for 99% of the people who are in this course, Photos does an amazing job now of photo editing, and you have, you know, curves, and you have so much that you can do in here that hopefully we'll get a chance to do a lot of, you know, get some good photo editing. And all those photos that you might have deleted thinking they weren't good, put them in the computer and you'll be surprised how much you can fix them with the editing that we're going to teach you how to do. And then you'll discover that you don't necessarily have to get rid of them. Okay. Now I'm going to say get started to start using the program. And this is important because if you haven't yet activated your program, then this Use iCloud Photos isn't to start the program. This is basically telling you, oh, if you click on this, you're going to check mark that choice in that I've been telling you about, and your computer will be automatically connected to the iCloud. And if you did not want this to happen, then that's happening. So when people aren't aware of when their choices were made, it's by things like this. So I'm going to say, no, I don't want to use iCloud Photos. And I'm going to say not now. Okay. But iCloud Photos means basically give me a green check mark on that whole system of transferring things. And I don't really want that to happen. So I'm going to say no right now. Okay. Now, this is it. My Photos is open. My Photos is open, but I do not have any photos in mine. Okay. Now, does everyone have their Photos program open right now? And can you see it? If you can't or you don't, then I need to hear from you.
Deanna?
Yes.
When I open up Photos, your shared screen slides off my screen to the right and Photos comes up. I can't watch them side by side, and I haven't had this problem before.
Is your Photos program maybe full screen and you need to hit the escape too? Is it maybe?
Well, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing my Safari desktop with in the corner my Photos program, but I can't seem to get the Zoom and my Photos program side by side.
Is that happening to anyone else, that suddenly you can't see Zoom anymore? No?
Yes, that's happening to me too.
Okay, so there's some setting that you've got in your Zoom or in your Photos program. Is it possible that your Photos program is, no, you said it's not full screen because you said it's on the side. Do you want to share your screen with me so I can help figure out what's happening? Because I don't know with the description.
Let's see, how do I do that again?
So go to the big green button at the bottom that says share screen. Oh, well, you can't until I'm stop sharing. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Okay. Now there, you go to yours. I want to make sure everyone is able to see that this is important, because from now on, I'm going to be showing you things and you have to be doing them. So if anyone else is in this situation and just didn't speak up, please speak up. So I am seeing, I won't be able to see your Zoom because that doesn't get shared, but I don't see your photos either. So click on your photo. There it is. There's your photos. And now that I'm seeing your photos program, where is your Zoom completely gone?
Yes, it's slid off to the left side of my computer. I can go back and forth and show you.
No, you
Yes.
can't, because even if you do that, I can't see your Zoom. The Zoom is the one thing that doesn't transfer. So where is your Zoom now?
Well, all I can actually, let me see. What I'm seeing is, you know, all of our faces. Maybe that's the
okay. Yeah. So what happens is that when I share a screen, you'll end up seeing my screen of all of our faces unless you hit the, I'm thinking that maybe is your Zoom on full screen that you need to hit the escape key? See, I can't see it for you, but I think you have a bar on the right side with photos of us, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so that bar with photos of us has has like a little line and then progressively bigger shapes. Click on the little line and click on that, and that should minimize it.
That minimizes
the faces of all of us.
Yes.
Okay. So now you're seeing more, but you're still not seeing me, is what you're saying, right? Giving indications. I know this seems weird to you guys because I'm talking as if I see something because I just know what she's seeing, but Zoom, when you share screen, does not show the Zoom screen, right? So I'm kind of guessing at what she's seeing. You guys are just seeing only her photos program, but that's because when you share, you don't see the Zoom windows. It's kind of weird. So I don't know how to tell you how to bring it up. God, I don't know what to say to you to have you bring up Zoom again. When you click on it, click on that and see what it says.
Try using Command and Tab to get to your Zoom.
Yeah, but her issue is to see them both at the same time, which is what I'm asking you to do. Well, worst case scenario, what King is saying is true, which is basically what you can start doing is seeing my demonstration and then going back to your program, seeing my demonstration and going back to the program. And what King says is an easy way, instead of clicking on your dock to switch from program to program, you can hold down the Command key and hit your tab, and then that brings up a little strip that allows you to switch from program to program. And then you can see the demo and then see the program, see the demo and see the program. So go ahead and stop sharing your screen, and I'm going to tell others about this because you're going to want at some point to see the whole screen. So here's the...
Now I'm okay.
Because you stopped sharing your screen, yeah, exactly.
No, but I can see my photos and I can see you, Zoom.
Oh, well, great. Then
I don't know what happened, but
it worked. All right, so here's the thing. Just so you know, if you have 2 or more programs open, how you switch between one and the other could be by using the dock, or hold down the Command key and then hit the tab, and a strip will come up. Let me see if I can demo that for you. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share. I don't have many. I can't do this one because I don't have many programs open. Here, I'm going to share this screen right now because we're going to keep working on this. And you know how right now you're seeing my photos. If I now hold my Command and then hit tab, this little thing pops up, which is every other app that I have open. One is Photos, one is Zoom, one is my Finder, one is Safari, and one is my Preview. So you can go ahead and switch by hitting tab, 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 tab is what I'm doing. If I Command held down and I go tab, 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 and when I let go, then I'm suddenly going to be seeing my preview. And I go Command, tab, 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 and I'll see Zoom. And Command, tab, 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 and I'll see the Photos program, okay? So that's a good way to go back and forth.
Your microphone is messing up.
Okay, hold on. I know what's happening. Someone turned on the microwave in my house. Sorry, there we go. Does that sound better now?
Yes.
Yeah, we have the problem that whenever someone uses the microwave in this house, the Wi-Fi connection starts getting wobbly, and if I'm teaching, my voice gets all crackly. So I have to just to yell and say, "Turn off the microwave." Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am being told it was my fault. My husband was making me a coffee, and so he brought me the coffee, but that's why the microwave was on. Okay, let me grab my coffee. All right, he's excused. He brought me the coffee. All right. Okay, so we're just consider that command tab is a useful way if you want to see the full screen of what I'm sharing and then the full screen of the photos program, okay? And then you can keep switching back and forth if using only half the screen is too small. All right, so thank you for that reminder, King. All right, so now in the Photos app, you are going to see, how many of you are seeing it the same as me? That's a good question. How many of you are seeing, I don't have photos in here, but how many of you are seeing something that says photos, memories, people, places, imports? My photo stream would only be on if that is a choice you have, and then albums and projects. If you are seeing it just like mine, go ahead and raise your hand here on the right. I want to see how many of you guys have anything that is quite different. Now raise your virtual hand, like your blue hand in the participants, like in the, click on the participants button, blue hand. If you're seeing something that's laid out exactly like mine. Now, there's something else you can see here. Some of you have seen something that says media and it's showing you videos or panoramics or live photos, things like that, okay? So that's probably something else. Now that I don't have those yet because I haven't imported any photos, but once I have photos, I will have that there. Okay, so I'm seeing about 8 or 9 photos are saying that you're seeing it like mine. The ones who are seeing something very different, 1 or 2 of you guys speak up so that I can have an idea of what you're seeing. So Paul, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself. Hold on, there's 1 or 2 of you guys speaking at me, but I can't hear you because you're muted. So, okay, Paul?
Yeah. So I'm just seeing my photo. I'm seeing all my photos. I'm not seeing what you're on the left.
Okay, that's good to know. So that's possible that you don't have this tab open. And if you go up to view, let me see. Over here it says always show toolbar and sidebar in full screen. It's possible that you're in full screen. First try hitting your escape key, and if not, go up to view and toggle that one and see if that helps you see the bar.
So I want to exit.
Hit the escape key to exit full screen. This is what's, if you're seeing full screen like that, you might still be, you see how right now I switched mine to full screen?
Mm-hmm.
I am still seeing the sidebar, but I don't see all the stuff that's in front. So when I hit escape, it goes becomes smaller. But then there's the choice of view, always show full screen, this on or not. And that might turn it on and off. That might not be what's happening to you.
I see that. I mean, I think that it's
okay.
toggling back and forth.
Okay.
I think I see the problem. Yeah, I see. Here we go. View.
It might be that. Otherwise, I'm going to have you share your screen. But give me a second while I get some more feedback from others. Is there anything else that you guys are seeing that's very different than mine? With of course,
I don't have photo stream.
Yes. Photo stream you'd only have if you have that check mark, which mine is checked, remember? So don't worry about that. That's the way that I get my photos from my phone, because I have photo stream check mark. If you don't have that, that's fine. You're doing the whole iCloud library thing and your photos are just dropping into the photos, okay? So that's an extra
I have
thing.
photo stream check mark, but I don't see photo stream. I have Catalina.
Because Catalina discontinued photo stream, yeah. So that's fine. You just don't have it if you're in Catalina. You have it check marked, but you don't have the actual option in here. So that's just part of the Catalina. Okay.
So we don't get photo stream at all then from
You know,
Catalina?
I'm gonna research it a little bit more. I have a feeling that you probably don't. I don't know I don't know 100% the answer to that one, so I'm gonna actually write that question down to ask about Catalina and
I
photo
was sort of
stream.
wondering why they hadn't transferred over.
Well, do you have your iCloud library turned on? Like, do you have the green check mark on your iCloud library when we went and did that all today?
I do on my Mac Pro, but on my iPad and my iPhone, I have it limited, so it just shows photo stream.
Okay, so then, yeah, so then photos won't come in automatically into your computer at this point, unless you use the photo stream. So I'm gonna look up and see how in Catalina that's gonna work. Otherwise, you're gonna have to transfer them by hand or turn on your iCloud. So
Can you,
yeah,
does
I'll
AirDrop
research.
work pretty well?
Yeah, but that's a whole nother thing.
Okay.
So that, yeah, you wouldn't be using AirDrop for this. I don't want to even bring the whole conversation of AirDrop, so don't ask me, you guys, what that is. It's not part of the photos. Okay, anyone else who has something that they need to say that's very different?
Diana?
Yes, and
I just show my photos. It just shows my photos. It doesn't show that sidebar.
Okay, so it's possible that you're in a different section and I can't demonstrate that right now because I don't have photos. So let me get some photos in here and then we'll all be able to tell you how to work with that. Okay, I'm looking in here. Without photos in, it's not giving me a choice to do what you're doing. So yeah, so yeah, I can't do it until I have photos in here. So so hold on. Yes, Bill?
Possible. I have, you know, a lot of older things, and mine just shows photos, all photos, faces, last import, selfies, panoramas, videos, screenshots, and then it goes down with all kinds of different albums that I've created.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm gonna stop this sharing and I'm gonna share from my photos album that's here in my other computer. So let me actually share one that's already in use so you'll see the difference. So here we go. I'm sharing a completely different screen right now, which is my other computer. Okay, so you see this? So this is my actual photos that is in action, that is in use right now. And see over here, so suddenly there's a lot more choices. There's photos, memories, favorites, people, places, my photo stream. Then you have media types, videos, and if you don't see this, you can click on this little arrow, video, selfies, portraits, da, da, da. What happens is that these things don't appear until you actually have them. And then here you have under my albums a whole bunch of other stuff that I've created. Now, if you've never organized your files, you might not have this part, okay? But what matters is if you click on this actual top photos right there, that big photos, if yours says all photos, then you're working on an older version of photos. It used to be called all photos, and then you had another word here that said photos. That is gone. That is probably gone since Yosemite. Right now you should have only one word that says photos. Over here, I'm gonna have to use these personal ones because to show you this, otherwise I don't have enough photos in the other one to show you these options. What matters is a combination of what you choose on the left and what you choose up on top, okay? So it's a combination of one and the other. And I'm trying to make this fit my screen a little bit better. Hold on. There we go. I can see it a little bit better.
Deanna,
Yes.
it's Victoria. Could it be too that if they have their photos window too small, you lose the sidebar?
If I make it be this small, like we do with a Finder, thank you for reminding me of that. See how when I make my window small?
Yeah, that's it. That's
Oh,
it.
yes, make it bigger.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. I was going to propose that and then I forgot. And I'm so glad, Victoria, that you mentioned that. I teach people that about the Finder, and I forgot that that could be an option here too. So thank you so much. I love it when you guys know so much that you can point out things. So when the window becomes too small, you lose your sidebar. So you need to put your mouse on the edge and pull it open. And this could also be happening because I've told you to move your photos to one side and your screen, the zoom to the other, right? So yeah. Make it bigger, and then you might just need to go back and forth. Now, just so you know, this bar, this sidebar doesn't need to be this big. You can put your mouse right here in the middle and make it also be smaller or bigger internally so that then you can save a bit of sidebar space, okay? All right, so right now in all of your guys' photos, the one thing I want you most to do is to make sure that you're all clicked on the word photos up here, first of all, and then clicked on the word photos way up top, right there. So you need to have photos here and photos there. And that's just so that we all have the same thing showing, okay? I wanna make sure that we all are showing exactly the same thing to each other. What photos you see at this point doesn't matter as much as that you have that and that selected. Is everyone there?
No, I have, let's see. I have photos on the top. When I click on the photos on my icon, on my menu or icons, but then what you had, which is on the side, and I think somebody already asked that, you know, on that sidebar where you had all of those like albums or whatever,
yeah.
I don't have that. All I have is kind of recent, and because that's probably the recent one that I had seen before, but other than the fact that I had photos on the menu on top, photos, file, edit, image, view, window, help, and then on my, you know that my icons are on my left side and not on the bottom.
Yeah.
So those are the only things that I have in common with you. The ones on the sidebar where you had that gray one, from my point here, I can see it like gray.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Not
it's like you're seeing the top photos, file, edit, image, view, which isn't even part of what I'm sharing, but you're not seeing the window of photos itself. So I see what you're talking about. Could it be that it's hidden behind the Zoom window? Zoom window around a bit?
No, I'm side by side with your screen sharing. I'm actually side by side.
All right, so then,
but that's okay, no problem, because I have seen what you are showing before. So I'm sure that when this is over, I can go back again to the photos and
I'm
see.
a little bit concerned when people say, well, it doesn't matter because I'll show it. I just want to make sure that everyone is able to follow, but that's okay because I do know that you have done this before. So I'll trust that you'll have it while I keep working on this. Okay, so does everyone see the option for photos there and photos there? And speak up if you do not.
I don't have it, Deanna, but I'm Catalina and mine says all photos at the top.
Yeah, me too.
And when I click on that, it has years, months, days, and then all photos.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting because it used to say all photos in the old ones. Then it went down to photos. And what you're telling me is that in Catalina, it says all photos again. So, okay. Yeah. Now, I was telling you how it doesn't say that anymore, but now in Catalina, it says all photos. That's fine. It is more descriptive. I like that because it should say all photos. Because if you want to see every single photo that you own, where you see that is by clicking on the word photos or all photos, okay? Every single thing in order of date. The only order that this responds to is by order of when it was taken, okay? So when you go up here, you'll see that it says June, July 2020. And if I put my mouse in this area and start scrolling up and down, do you know how to scroll your mouse with a little scroll wheel? Or if you have a magic mouse with your one finger, and if you have an iPad with 2 fingers, so there's all these, not an iPad, a touchpad on your desktop with 2 fingers up and down, that's how you scroll, yeah? So to scroll up and down, very infrequently do you go down to this little scroll bar anymore that I'm showing you here. That scroll bar here doesn't really get used anymore. I'm just going fast up and down. But if you go, to get that to even activate, you first have to start scrolling. So with an iPhone, with an iPad, you need to put 2 fingers down. With a magic mouse, 1 finger, and with a mouse, there's a little scroll wheel in the middle. Who's speaking?
This is Robert, and
Yes.
I have Catalina, and I have under library on the left side, I have, it's called photos only. It's photos.
Photos. Even though other people who have Catalina say all photos, you have Catalina and it says only photos?
Exactly.
Okay, weird and bizarre. What can I say? There's this
Wait,
thing.
let me, I'm talking, the all photos is the one at the top. So you have photos on the left, and then you said you have photos at the top. And at the top on Catalina, it says all photos.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So it does say just photos here, and it says all photos here. Okay, thank you for that description. So Robert, is that what you're seeing? Do you see the all photos up here?
Well, of course, I have a newer computer, and it just says photos, period.
On the left. And up on top here in these 4 buttons, does it say all photos or just photos?
It doesn't, I don't see all photos.
It doesn't really matter too much right now what name it has, in the sense that right now at this point it still is the same function. I'm thinking that enough of you have Catalina that I'm gonna have to probably change one of my computers to Catalina. Can you all give me a show of hands? I think it was about half of you. How many of you guys have Catalina? I've cleared out your thing. Go ahead and put a blue digital show of hands that you're using Catalina. On the participants list, go ahead and press the Catalina option. Because as I said, sometimes things are visually different. It's only, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to assume 1 or 2 more didn't answer. So let's say about 10 of you guys out of the 30 have Catalina. Okay. I'll look into seeing if I can do one of my laptop is Catalina so that I can show both things. But right now, let me keep explaining what the point of these 2 are. When you see photos over here, you're seeing every one of your photos. But if you choose one of these 4 choices up here, you get, I'm going to mute you all again because someone's making a lot of noise. There we go. If I choose these 4 photos, I can see all my photos organized in different ways according to the way Apple wants to help you organize them. So this is not an organization that you do. It's an organization that the computer is doing automatically for you, given the information it already has about your photos, and which is by date. That when you take a picture, the photo has information about when it was taken. Okay, so up here, it uses that information. When you just go to photos or all photos, it just automatically drops every single photo in a row with no other reason to be other than when it was taken, right? One after the other. So it's a big heap of photos. When you want to actually see them divided by what day they were taken, if you click into moments, then you will see lines that will say Monday or yesterday, or if you go further back, June 21st or June 20th. So it divides things by time in which they were taken. Not only that, if you have things taken the same day, then if it was taken in the morning or in the afternoon, like this was taken June 20th, but this was also taken June 20th, right? But later in the day, so then it considers this a moment and this another moment. Does that make sense? So go ahead. That's if you have photos and moments. So go ahead and do that. The difference between photos and up here is that it does not distinguish when it was taken. They're all one after the other. And then up here, you kind of see the month when it was taken changing and stuff like that. But other than that, there's not much difference. But in moments, it actually divides it by actual moments and days. So this was June 1st and this was June 1st, but two different parts of June 1st. Does that make sense? This one as well. So there's that line there. Okay, and then there's that line there for June 2nd and 3rd. Is that?
I have Catalina, and there are no moments. There are at the top option bar. Is that what it's called at the top? It's years,
Yeah.
months, days, and all photos.
Okay, it's a little bit different. I have years, moments would be months and days, and photos. The collections is a whole nother creature, and I never really liked it. And you're saying that it's gone from Catalina, so that's kind of cool because I never really liked that option. It's not in Catalina then, you guys? Okay.
Not in mine.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what it is anyway for the rest of us who do not have Catalina. But it wasn't a very useful option in my point of view, and I think that that's why it's gone now. Yolanda, are you raising your hand?
Yeah. Diana, so I'm following what he was saying. I have I have seen the year, moment, day, and so forth. Are we going to be able to cover in this photo living iLife? Because although I appreciated what the Catalina did by grouping them into years, let's say 1970, 1999, but they were all wrong. Like the things that happened in 1970 was in 1995, for example.
Okay, so let me talk to that because that might be a question a lot of you guys have. When the photos became digital, let's say around the year 2000, most people didn't really begin to get digital cameras until maybe 2003, 2005, 2007. And then the iPhones came in and everyone started taking digital photos. But any photos before that would have had to be scanned in. They were not digital photos. Anything from 1970s, 1990s were not taken as digital photos. So that means that you scanned them in or someone scanned them in which case the date on those scans is the date of those photos. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a photo that you know was taken in 1970s appears in 2010, which is the year that you scanned that photo in or someone scanned that photo in. I hope you're all following this conversation, because if you have anything that's older, the date on it will be the date it was turned into a digital photo. So I can show you how to grab those photos and change the date and actually say, no, this was taken in 1970s, and you can do that. But the timestamp on that photo is with respect to when it was turned into a digital format. And that's why it doesn't really make sense that you see a photo from the 1970s and you're 2010. Does that make sense now?
Yes.
Okay.
So will we be able to manually correct them eventually?
Yes, you can. I don't want to necessarily go into that as quickly as this, but yeah, give me a, I don't know, it's not so hard to do, to change
That's
the
all
date.
right. Yeah, that's all right.
Diana?
Yes, who's speaking?
Kip here. So I have digital photos taken with a digital camera, say from 2000 to 2005. But in my photos, they show up as 1980.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something?
Yeah. So that's the second problem, and that has to do with if you own it. This is my mom, for example, a digital camera where you purchased it. Not the iPhones. The iPhones kind of automatically know what time and day it is, or even Androids. But a digital camera, you have to set in the digital camera the time. You know how like microwaves and things, you need to tell what time it is. And if your camera isn't correctly set with the time and day, then it might think it's 1970 because that's the date that's set on your digital camera. So when you shoot the picture, your phone shows up, your camera shows up as being shot in 1998, and that's because your camera is giving the wrong information to that photo. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the other reason why you might have photos that you know happened on a certain year and they're not showing up there. And that happens every time my mom takes a picture with her digital camera. It shows up as happening sometime in the 1990s, and I have to, in order to have it incorporated into the stream at the right time, I have to change the date. So since this might be happening to a lot of you guys, and the fix is pretty easy, I'm going to show you the fix right now. I wanted to show you a few more things, but since 2 of you guys brought it up, either from scanned photos or from digital photos where the camera was not set up correctly, let me just show you really quickly how to do that. So imagine that this photo here was something taken, I don't know, in a completely different time, right? Now, what I can do is I can change, it's interesting because I'm not sharing my whole window with you. So I am sharing, see how,
yeah.
so,
Are you able to enlarge?
let me speak, hold on. I can't enlarge what I'm showing you. You have to go up to the view options and enlarge what you are seeing. So go up to where it says you are viewing Deanna M screen, and you can say view options and enlarge what you're seeing. I can't from here make it any bigger. Okay.
All right. That's
now,
okay. Yeah.
Select a photo that has the wrong date and time. So everyone select one that doesn't matter to you too much. Select a photo that doesn't matter to you too much, and that by that you just click on it. And it doesn't matter what version you're in, just select a photo. Then outside of my screen, because I'm not sharing that with you, do you see a place that says image on the top of your screen? Do you see the word image? It's above and outside of what I'm showing you. Do you see the word image? Hopefully you're seeing it.
Yes.
When you click on image, the first choice is adjust date and time. And when you click on that, this window pops up to adjust date and time. Do you see it? Okay, is anyone not seeing what I'm talking about? Is this not happening for some of them?
Deanna, I'm seeing what you're talking about, but date and time is gray. I can't get that to come up. Only
okay, that's because you don't have a photo set up, selected. So select a photo first. That's very important. Select a photo that you want to change. And then when you go up to image, adjust date and time, it works. Is that working for you?
No, let me try one more time. Yes, thank you. Okay.
You're welcome. Okay, anyone else for whom it's not working, or you don't know what I'm talking about or how to get there? Nope. Okay, so select photo, adjust local date and time, and then you go up here and you go the original. It'll tell you whatever date it says, and then you put over here, well, this really happened in, I don't know, 1977. Okay, so you change that date, and once you go down, or maybe it was another part of the world, then you go whatever daylight time, then you say this original photo will be adjusted by minus 43 years. You say adjust, and when you do that, it disappears from here because these photos are set up by time, and I would have to scroll all the way down to my very first photo ever to find it, because now it says June 3rd, 1977. See how the times have changed?
Diana.
Okay, so that's how you,
Diana.
1 second, this is how you would fix anything that you scanned in or anything that had the wrong date. And let me say that you can do this in big batches. So you can select a bunch of photos at the same time and adjust all their date and time at the same time. I'm going to speak much more about how to use photos before I continue much further with this, but that's a question that a lot of you guys have, so I just quickly showed that to you. Any other question about this really quickly? Yeah?
I just want to tell you a quicker way to get to that window to change it. Just go open information, the Command I, and you click.
I haven't taught people about open information yet. So when I get to that, I'll show it to them.
Okay.
I can't bring that up in 2 seconds. It's 4:05 and the class is over. So there's always other ways to do everything. And I will tell you about the information, which we will use a lot in this class. But we're not there yet. We don't know how to do that yet. So I just want to really quickly have you guys between here and next week, check out these buttons, which are different depending on what version you have, and then see that it organizes your things based on, in this case, time. So all of my photos of 2020 are here, all of my photos of 2019 are here, and all the way down to the last one. And then moments goes day by day, and then photos is all together. Now, if you have months and years in Catalina, it would do that too. Collections is a bit weirder. Collections guesses, and see, it takes, like now it's choosing an area, no matter when I took it, or an area, or things like that. And so it's assuming that I have photos taken in this area, then it makes a collection you based on area and not based on time. Some of you don't have collections anymore, but if you do, then that's what it would do. There's other features that it might choose to do for collections, but right now that's what collections means for those of you who have it. So under photos, you can choose, and all of these ways of seeing photos are dependent on date, and in the case of collections are depending on place. Okay, we're going to get deeper into how to organize and how to understand these things, but I want to make sure that you guys, I'm going to turn off my sharing because I need to turn off the sharing. Here we go. Stop sharing. I want you guys to take photos that we can import and mess around this on next class, okay? On Monday. And if you have a chance to go to your handouts and start reading some of that, that would be really helpful, because then your questions will be informed on that. And then click on those links to go and just be comfortable in knowing how to find help on your own for when we're not in this class. Okay, so those are my requests. Any other question before we sign out?
Deanna, if you already have iCloud checked on your photos, and you take it with your phone, it automatically brings it into your computer, right?
Yes, yes. If you
so
take
we
a picture
won't have to do any of what you're talking about.
Well, I haven't talked yet about importing photos, so
oh, okay.
Yeah, but yes, if you have iCloud turned on, then yes, you would not have to worry. Your photos that you take will just show up in your computer.
Thank you.
As long as both your computer and your phone have the iCloud check on. Both devices have to have that on. Someone here has it on one but not on the other, in which case then I think it's then they don't talk to each other. You need to have the same selection on both or on 3 of your devices, okay? Take a bunch of photos that we can mess around with, and we're gonna open up and start straight with the app on next week, on next Monday, okay?
Deanna, would you mind restating exactly what handouts you want us to read by Monday?
Well, if you're wondering about the iCloud and the iCloud library and iCloud photo stream, just look at the titles and read the ones that you're interested in. I don't want to assign one in particular, just that the titles will tell you so that you can deepen your knowledge. It's what I said, but maybe by reading it slowly, it comes in a different way. I might have said some things and not others. So
Okay.
yeah,
Thank
all
you.
of those. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, any other quick question? All right. See you guys. Please play around, take lots of photos, and I'll see you on Monday. If you email me, I might respond if it's a quick answer, or I might answer it in class if it's something for everyone. Okay? Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.